Cigars in hand, never playing tame. Pour the whiskey, let it burn real slow. On the Real Smoke Podcast, the stories flow. Guests are rolling with a spark in their eyes, talking life's truths and throwing lies. Laughter, crack, fire alive. Cuba to Kentucky, they always thrive. Real smoke rises in the air tonight. Whiskey's bold, they keep it tight. Stories spark like a flaming glow. Mick and Charles stealing the show.
Welcome to the Real Smoke Podcast with your hosts, Mick and Charles, the podcast that's all about real people, real cigars, and real smoke. Coming to you live from the Real Smoke Virtual Cigar Lounge, bringing you the best of cigars, whiskey, and times in between. This is more than just a podcast, it's a community of cigar lovers. So grab your favorite smoke, pour a drink, and join us as we dive into all things cigars, whiskey, and just having a damn good time. This is the Real Smoke Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 30. We turned 30. Yay! Hooray. Welcome to episode 30 of the Real Smoke Podcast. We are your host. The man over that way is Mick. I'm the sidekick. I'm Charles. We're going to have a freaking great show tonight. Thanks, everybody, for jumping in. Did it freeze up?
It did for a second, yes. And now you're back.
Oh, now I'm back.
All
right. Well, anyways...
TV,
yeah, if you're here joining us for the second time this week, 1, I'm sorry. 2, thank you. 3, I'm sorry again. But he's Mick, I'm Charles. We're doing this thing as always. But before we get started, let's say hi to our sponsor of the show.
The Real Smoke Podcast is brought to you by the Cigar Vault Oakdale, your ultimate destination for premium cigars and unforgettable experiences. Whether you're a seasoned aficionado or just starting your cigar journey, they've got you covered. Find them on Instagram at Cigar Vault Oakdale or online at thecigarvault.com. Here's a treat for our listeners. Use promo code REALSMOKE to save 10% on your next order. Let the Cigar Vault Oakdale unlock your next great cigar.
And a huge thanks to everybody over at Cigar Vault. We absolutely appreciate everything you do for us. And guys, listen, Linda, go to their website. Go do the thing. Tonight only, as you see the banner rolling, if you use Real Smoke, you're saving 15%. And that's just because the Cigar Vault loves our guest. And they said, we're bumping it up tonight, 15%. So go out there, go order some cigars, and show them that you love them. They would greatly appreciate it. So would we. So what's up, brother?
Oh, not much, man. As I said earlier, though, too, you always get 10% off by using our code. It keeps our sponsors happy, and it keeps us happy, and it keeps us doing this. And I think some of you guys like us, so use it. But anyway, hey, man, things are good. It's Thursday now, I think. I thought it was Thursday earlier this week because we already did a show, but it's Thursday, I think. So welcome again.
Hey, it's a doubleheader. Welcome. Hey, it's Thursday. We're having more good cigars. We're having tasty drinks and great guests. So it's going to be a great night. So I have to say, welcome to a new sponsor.
Yeah, we do have a new
sponsor.
A
brand new one again. We have a new sponsor. So we want to say welcome to the Real Smoke Podcast family. You want to announce it, or do you want me to announce it?
The Smoke
We're
In.
Gonna leave him waiting. Oh, yeah, the Smoke In Cigar Club of the Month, or Cigar of the Month Club, I should say. They are going to be the new sponsor, and we'll actually get into that when we talk about tonight's cigar. So, but we want to welcome Smoke In to the to the Real Smoke family. Thank you guys for supporting us, and we'll have a special offer for you guys if you want to go sign up with them. They would like it. We would like it. Everybody likes it. We like cigars.
Absolutely. Good
so
stuff.
What else you got going on?
So I just got like 2 quick things for the opener tonight. First thing, it is my youngest birthday today, and I told her I'd give her a shout out. When we first started, my youngest daughter, Shay, turns 22 today. We definitely had our bumps in the road between like 16 and 20, I would say. Yeah, but these last couple of years, things are coming back together. And I'm super proud of what you're doing with your life and have a career and just doing some amazing things. And I think she went and got a tattoo today for her birthday. So that's kind of cool too. But happy birthday,
Not bad.
Shay.
Yeah. Cool. Well, happy birthday. Let's see. We just had our haven't announced it yet and already getting more people commenting and asking questions of how they can be a member of or how they can join round number 2 of Hatpalooza. So that's pretty cool. Got a message today saying, "Hey, are you doing it?" And I said, "Yeah, we're going to do round 2 starting here shortly." And then I got a message this morning from Hayes Gray Cigars saying, "Your hats are already in the mail, so you should have those in the next couple of days. But if there's any brands out there that are cigar brands, whiskey brands, or spirits brands, let's just say that because there's other brands out there. But if you're a cigar brand, a spirits brand, or an accessory brand, and you have a lid that you like sending out, send us 2 of them. We'll wear one, rep one, and then we'll send a lucky winner one. We'll help. It's our way of helping promote your stuff, but it's also your way of also helping us out. So it gives us something to give away, and everybody likes something to give away. So again, haven't officially announced round 2 of Hatpalooza, but we're getting people to already ask us instead of me having to go hunt down people. So the goal is, cool. I think we had 13 brands, or I'm sorry, about 8 brands, 13 hats. So John Huber was the big one, and Rebellion Cigars was the big one. They sent in multiple hats. So the wind is with you today.
Speaking of giveaways, I have one last cool little story. So I reached out to Katie Cigars. They were our Meanwhile Memphis sponsor on Tuesday. I reached out to them and gave them the information for El Presidente, Eric or whatever, that won the giveaway from Katie Cigars. I sent Katie Cigars the address, and he goes, "Man, that dude's like 5 miles up the road from me." So he actually reached out to Eric, and they are meeting up this Sunday for him to give him his gift and have a few cigars and a few drinks together. Man, this is the Real Smoke Podcast, bringing people fucking together. It's awesome.
That's awesome. We need to reach out and get some pictures of that one and let them share it with us. So that's pretty cool.
Super cool. Yeah.
My last thing on mine is next week will be the last podcast that we're going to do for a few weeks. We will go live next week, normal time, Thursday at 8:00. And then we will take 3 weeks off. I think it's 3 weeks. And then we're going to be back June 8th. We'll do 3 more episodes, and that will conclude season 2 of the Real Smoke Podcast. We're going to take another few weeks off. And we'll be back July 10th. But all of our sponsors, don't worry. We're going to be doing a few lives from where we're going to be at during that time. We'll do some Instagram lives. We'll also be posting your stuff weekly on there. And I've been saving up some of the shorts and stuff like that. So we'll be posting a lot of your stuff throughout that time, but we're not going to leave you hanging. We're going to keep supporting and repping you guys. But when we first started this, we told our wives it'd be one, maybe 2 podcasts a month. Now we're averaging 4 to 5 a month. Yeah. So once we got to that point and then when it got to the point to where we had to start doing more, or we needed to do more, we both told our wives that we would take some time. So this first round is for Mick. He's going to be out of the country doing some stuff with his wife and friends. And then in the June part is mine and my wife's anniversary. So we're usually gone for a week or so. So we're going to take that time to chill down and not have to be on camera as often as we have been. So we want to thank everybody for the support and all that stuff, but we need a couple of weeks to wind down a little bit, but we didn't want to take it all at once. So we're going to take some time. Mick will take a couple of weeks off. We'll come back, and I'll take a couple of weeks off, and then we'll come back and we'll start season 3, and we'll go all the way into December, right? Yeah. I think we're going to go first weekend of December and probably take a couple of weeks off Christmas week and the week of New Year's, and then we'll hit it again in January. So
I have no fear. I will do at least 1 or 2 lives in my Speedo from Aruba. Don't worry. I'll have a good cigar. It'll be great. I'll make some great content. I promise. It'll be awesome. You guys will love it.
Oh, we cannot wait. I'm sure there will be plenty of people that will be tuning in and going blind by watching that. So I love it.
Very true.
All right, so let's see. Let's move on into our cigar. We are both smoking a cigar tonight. We're enjoying one. I almost had to do something, and I'll get to it after we introduce what the cigar is. But I almost did something that, again, would have been I'm smoking something different than you tonight. But I didn't. I left it in my humidor. I really think I should have gone and got it. But we'll talk about it here in a minute. But anyways, our cigar intro is brought to you by the newest people of the Real Smoke podcast family. It is brought to you by Smoke In Cigar of the Month Club. Guys, let me guess. You're still buying cigars the old-fashioned way. Wandering into the shop, pretending you know what you're doing, nodding at the labels like, yes. This one looks brown and smells like tobacco. It's time to stop the madness, get the cigar out of your nose, and do something right for the first time. Join the Smoke In Cigar of the Month Club, where actual experts handpick 5 premium cigars for you every month. And by experts, I don't mean your buddy Dave from Pennsylvania. You know, that guy who once bought a Cuban at the beach and now brags that he only smokes Cubans and is about to be the next cigar reviewer for Cigar Aficionado. Yeah, don't be like him. When we say experts, we mean experts like Honest Abe. This guy knows cigars like you know your way to the fridge at 2 a.m. with the lights turned off. Want to feel extra special? We know you do. Go double down and get 10 cigars this month. Nothing says I've got my life together like having a humidor that's full of cigars and a lighter that works. Oh, and speaking of lighters, we have a special offer for you if you help us out. Use the code RSNEW. And for those of you that can read, that's RSNEW. Use that at checkout and you'll get a free Smoke In torch lighter and a perfect cutter. That's free stuff. For once in your life, you will have made a good decision. Go to smokein.com, sign up, use the code RSNEW, and support the podcast. Huge thanks to our new sponsor, Smoke In Cigar of the Month Club.
Awesome, Reed. I cannot wait till Dave hears that. Thank you. That was beautiful.
Oh, you're so very welcome. So tonight's cigar is This Is All You.
Tonight's cigar is Tatuaje Boris Karloff, 2025. The wrapper, Ecuadorian Sumatra. Binder, Nicaraguan. Double binder. Filler, Nicaraguan. Price around $15. And again, that's sponsored tonight by Smoke In.
Now, I will say, this is the reason I said I was about to smoke something good and different. When a couple of years after I first got into cigars, we just started with, I just became president of the last club that we were in. And I were meeting up with some new people that we had just initiated into the cigar club. And they wanted to meet in Nashville. So we were meeting out in Nashville. And we were sitting back, kicking back. And the guy said, "Have you ever smoked Karloff?" I didn't know what the hell he's talking about. And I said, "What is that?" And he's like, "It's by Tatuaje." And I was like, "What is Tatuaje?" He's like, "Just come try this one." And again, this is 4, 5, 6 years ago. Instantly became my favorite cigar. Found a lounge that had it, bought the entire stock that they had. I've got one left in my humidor. I was about to break that one out to smoke it tonight. And then I was like, I don't know if I can do it. So it's still sitting in there, but I do have this year's Karloff. That's what I'm smoking tonight. So anyways, before we bring on our guest, let's talk to the sponsor of our guest, Destination Cigars. Tonight's guest is brought to you by Destination Cigars. Step into the world of cigars like never before at Destination Cigar Lounge, home of the exclusive Destino cigar brand. Whether you are kicking back at Governor's Crossing in Sevierville, Tennessee, savoring the vibes at New River in Beckley, West Virginia, or soaking up the rich aroma at Almost Havana in Hurricane, West Virginia, every visit is an adventure. From top-tier cigars to expert recommendations and a laid-back atmosphere, it's the perfect place to relax, connect, and enjoy the craft. If you are looking for bold and unforgettable flavors, escape to the world of Destino cigars. Kick back with the rich Mexican San Andreas Dividend, enjoy the smooth intrigue of the censored Sumatra, or fire up the bold and flavorful Escape Habano, For more information, you can follow them on Instagram at destination_cigars, or you can explore more by visiting them online at destinationcigarlounge.com, or take a journey to one of their 3 locations in West Virginia and Tennessee. No matter where your cigar journey takes you, every blend is an experience worth savoring. Where the road ends, the perfect smoke begins at Destination Cigars. Hey, with that being said, let's bring to the stage the one, the only, the mastermind behind Tatuaje, Mr. Pete Johnson. What's up, Mr. Pete? Your mic is on. Your mic is off. Just saying.
What's up, guys? How are you? Got
Doing
it?
fantastic and fabulous. Sounding great.
Good. Quick shout out to the Cigar Vault. Norman and Miguel, thank you for the support. I hope you guys are killing it. And thanks for sponsoring this show.
Well, we were
That's
supposed
it.
to give
That's all I got.
them the shout out from them to you and say, hey, the Cigar Vault says hi to Pete. So,
well, back at them.
You beat us to it.
What's up?
Mick, your mic is off as well. Just happened to let you know that as well.
Muted. I told you this is what. Here we go. Here we go.
There with the. There we go. Now we got you.
I was just gonna say that Cigar Vault. Yeah, we couldn't be more blessed with a sponsor with them, man. They're unbelievable. They give us they give stuff away all the time, and they're just great guys, man. We had them on the show the one night, and they were a boatload of fun. So it was a good time.
Awesome.
So how was PCA for you guys? Did you go this year?
Yeah, I was there. I don't remember much of it. Not because I drank every night. It was because I really just, when I get on the show floor, it's like a tornado hits my booth, and I just sit there and run in circles the whole time and kind of forget who I talked to. I had to text someone today and go, hey, the guys I met that you were sitting with, they were wearing black. I remember black shirts with gold lettering. And they're like, oh, those are the guys from Pittsburgh that own like they make the most amount of bread in Pennsylvania. I'm like, what? Yeah, just random shit that I think of, and I'm just trying to figure out who people are. But I remember having like brief conversations with a lot of people, but forgetting who I ran into.
Yeah.
Like I know I saw people from Cigar Aficionado, and I know I said hello to them, but like one conversation was really good, and the other one was, I felt like it was awkward. Like it was like one of those missed handshakes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody
like,
went
hey,
in for the shake, the other went in for the hug, and just can't get it worked out.
I was having a meeting, or not a meeting, but a sit down with Jonathan Drew from Drew Estates, and he hit the president of Drew Estates. So, well, actually, I don't know exactly what Glenn's title is, but I think he's like the boss of everything, and then JD is like the chief of what, I don't even know. There's a lot of titles in that company, but anyways, Glenn comes into the booth to say hello to me and Jonathan, and reaches in, and Jonathan reaches to shake his hand, and he bypasses Jonathan. It was just one of those moments where I saw Jonathan doing this like a bunch of times, like he knew there was a missed handshake. So that's about as much as I remember from the show. Exactly.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, nothing is worse than that missed handshake when you're like, or when you go to give somebody knuckles and they like turn the other way and you're stuck in that position for like 2 seconds. It's like the worst thing ever.
I've been there. I did that at the show, actually. I actually did that to someone too.
Well, Luke,
on purpose, bro.
Lou Cross from Lure Cigar says, Pete, it was good to finally meet you in person.
Yeah, I had a good conversation with Lou, brief, but yeah, Lou, congrats on your brand, and I hope you do well with it, man. The next few years are going to be a tough struggle. Trust me on this, but if you push through it and you can sustain the weather, just keep on pushing. And I like your purpose behind your blend and your brand. Obviously, a tribute to your dad. I used to tie flies with my dad when I was younger, and he passed away last November, so I get it. So good luck with everything, Lou.
Yeah, Lou's just a great guy. He's always on here. He's a big supporter of us. We're a huge supporter of him. So I mean, it's we love Lou, man. Just a great dude.
I'm trying to hide my cord behind my neck.
What he's not telling you is he's actually grown in a rat tail, so he's got that little rat tail hanging out
Yeah,
back there.
no,
He's just
it's
trying to get
actually
it
I'm
fixed.
AI driven, so I have a plug back here.
There you go. We've heard stories. Now we know it's true.
Yeah, I mean, sooner or later, I might consider getting one of those Tesla robots to like take my place on the show floor, because I really am starting to forget everything, including this show. By the way, I actually forgot that I made a commitment. So when I saw the post on your Instagram, I was like, "Shit, am I on a show with Tim Osgoner? Like, am I supposed to be on a show with Tim Osgoner?" So I started, and then I realized there was 2 dates in the picture. I'm like, oh, Tim's on that date, and then I'm on this date. Good. But I had to go.
That's one of the
digging through my
reasons
Instagram.
we hit Instagram so hard with what's going on, is because we tried to stay scheduled only about 3 or 4 weeks in advance, and we had so many people emailing us to be on here that we at one time we were 4 months booked, and what went from 2 a week or 2 a month became 4 a month, and then we got 4 and 5 months out, and then it's like right now we have enough to be booked until August, but we've had to rein ourselves back in, and we've stopped at July 1st or the first week
That's
of
good.
July. So yeah,
That's keeping busy is a good thing, right? I mean, keeping busy for me is not a great thing, but because I keep on forgetting so much. But I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out some way to find someone to take my position, so I can just kind of be a ghostwriter for everything.
you need you a PA.
I'm really yeah. Well, I definitely do. I honestly we need more people packing boxes. We had a good crew for a while, and then they all kind of left all at once. They didn't. I'll tell you straight up. They didn't understand. One guy was with me forever. He went back to his home country. He decided to go back home. The other kids that were working for us were actually his kids, and they stayed behind. They were going to continue to work, but when they actually saw their real first paycheck with California and United States taxes taken out of their paycheck, they thought that I was robbing them, and they quit. Fast forward a few months, they said, "Hey, do you still need help in the warehouse?" I'm like, "No, I already found replacements." They're like, "Well, if you need help, we're here." I'm like, I'm getting to the point where I might have to call them back. So it's been tough, man.
It's good. It's good to be that busy. We have 2
warehouses.
It's a blessing, I guess.
Yeah, we have 2 warehouses. It is a blessing, but we have 2 warehouses, so it actually helps the retailers out with shipping costs. We have one in Los Angeles and one in Miami, so we split the shipping across the country. Everything gets to everybody within 3 days if we are shipping on time, and because we're so backed up that we're shipping people 3 and 4 days late now. You know, during a quiet season and not like a release season, we can get away with shipping stuff within 5 minutes.
Oh wow.
During a busy season like the trade show season and new releases, we end up taking 3 to 4 days before we get to an order.
So what'd you think about the trade show being in New Orleans?
I absolutely loved it. And I'm excited to go back next year. You know, I forgot about that city. I hated the city for 2 reasons. Well, let's say maybe more than 2. One trade show, actually, one year I went there and I got so drunk that I ended up jumping on top of a car. And I ended up waking up in the middle of my hotel room, like kind of like in the angel position, saying I'm going to die in New Orleans. So strike that one out. The second reason why I don't love it is because one year we went to the trade show. It was just so nasty hot that you couldn't even be outside to smoke a cigar. And they tried to set up like outdoor smoking areas with misters. Well, that doesn't work with 100% humidity. So that was uncomfortable. Ultimately, let's be honest, I hooked up with my now wife for the first time in New Orleans. So that was a good thing. That was a great thing. No one knows that story. Now you do.
Oh, I was about to say, we'll get into that one here in a little while.
I love ghosts. I love vampires. I love the history. I love pirates. So they all visited New Orleans at one point in time. And there's that weird little kind of culture when you walk into a room, you ask how many dead people are in this room right now. That's why I think I love that city. And during that time of the year that we just left was absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's you could be outside smoking a cigar. You didn't sweat. You just you could have a great time and enjoy conversations with friends without sweating your balls off. So actually, it was a great time, and I'm glad that we shifted the PCA into this new time of the year. So looking forward to it next year.
All right, so you hit on something that I'm a huge fan of: pirates, ghost, things like that. Have you ever been to Charleston, South Carolina?
Yes, absolutely, and I'm planning on doing a big event in Charleston.
Oh wow. Well,
yeah,
every
Edmund's
June,
Oast. You know Edmund's Oast?
Okay, yes, I do.
Yes.
Every June, my wife and I go spend a week in Charleston, and we'll stay around Somerville, Charleston area. But that's our second home. Where we try to get there 4 or 5 times a year. We've made friends that live there now. We stay in the same old 1800s old schoolhouse cottage every time now. So, but that's what we've done. We've done a lot of the history tours, a lot of the ghost tours, a lot of the going through the old jail. Mm-hmm. And that's there. And they talk about how, the grounds that you're standing on, literally there's hundreds of bodies just thrown in mass graves. And
that's not cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's the old prisoners. Yeah. It's the old prisoners that they just boop, and you walk in and they take you through the jail, and they'll turn out the lights, and then they'll let the one little light bulb flicker, and it does weird things, and you see weird stuff. And it's crazy.
I kind of believe in all of it. I mean, I grew up in a small town in Maine, and the library in our hometown in Gardner, Maine, was actually on this like ghost hunters like show.
Mm-hmm.
Like
the same ghost hunters did that one as well.
Yeah, the city's definitely haunted. I used to own an old bank in Gardner. I still own one building in my hometown. There was a point in my career of life, and also with the cigar career, that I just started feeling nostalgic. And I wanted to go back home and do stuff in my hometown of 6,000 people and open up a big cigar general store type of thing. Got under construction, gutted an old bank completely. Not even halfway through construction, maybe 30% into construction, I realized that I was going to go broke building out this, field of dreams in Gardner, Maine. But I ended up buying an extra building down the road in the historic area where my parents had a cigar and antique shop. So they did that up until last year when Dad got sick, and now Mom is still doing a little bit of it, but she's kind of wants to relax now. So I did that for them for their retirement.
I get that. So what is before we get into where we used to go with this?
What am I smoking?
What are you smoking?
I have to tell you, because you guys are smoking Boris Karloff. I'm actually smoking the new sample of the next Boris Karloff. And I didn't know that you guys were smoking the Boris Karloff.
That's awesome.
So this could be a reveal. It's a Sumatra, same blend, but it's a 5 1/4 by 52 round. Covered foot. I'm loving them. I mean, honestly, it's simple. I know the blend really well, and this size, I absolutely love this size. So when I had them put together, I kind of was like, I kept on texting the factory. I go, when are you guys going to send me my samples? When are you guys going to send me the samples? Finally, they got them in, and I lit one up immediately the second I got them at the house, and I've been barreling through the bundle. So
So
yeah, they're
I guess we
already
don't need to ask how
they're
good
already
they
in
are.
production. They're already in production. We're releasing them in November to celebrate Boris Karloff's birthday.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, we usually do this at the end of the show, but and not that you need us, but if you ever want to promote anything on the show, man, and you have something new coming out, please get with us, man. We're always at your disposal. We appreciate it.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Sorry,
So
this
before we
cord is twisted. That's why it's like it keeps.
I was about to say
curling
that
up.
cord is aggravating the shit out of you.
It's bugging the fuck out of me. Like go and post and scribble it out.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll get with all of our editors in post production and we'll take care of.
I know,
all.
I have editors on the film crew with the hand rolled series, and it's funny. It was like, hey, do me a favor. When you interviewed my wife, she had a piece of hair flying into her mouth and catching onto her lipstick. Can you edit that out? And the next time I watched it, the shit was gone. I was like, how the fuck do you?
Wow.
How do you?
Yeah,
do
I'm not
that
good. I'm not that good.
And here I am worried about a fucking cord. So who cares, right?
So what before we dive deep into the past, let's go into the future. What is the event that you've got going on in Charleston, and when?
Well, we have a club called Saints and Sinners.
Yes,
Saints and Sinners is our private cigar club. It's what we call a social community, online social community. It's not really about Tatuaje in a sense. Of course, the majority of the people that are there because they love Tatuaje. But we just launched the new membership today. So all the existing members can rejoin. But we have a cap of 2,000 people. Last year, we about hit the cap. And the question came up the last several weeks of do we go over the cap? I said, no, I really like this number. It's manageable. We don't have to stress ourselves about, coming up with crazy different things for the club. And this is comfortable. So today we launched it, and we did a mega herf years ago in Philadelphia that went over like gangbusters. I think it was 300 people showed up to Holtz in Philadelphia at their corporate offices. And the whole plan was where do we do another one? We did one in Arizona, and then Scott Shore over at Edmonds O's is a good friend. And he's like, dude, let's just do it. I'll run all the logistics. I'll run everything. You just tell me a date and we'll set up everything. So it's you don't have to think about it, because the reality is I work full-time on Tatuaje. So for me to do Saints and Sinners, it's like a side job that I don't have time for. And then my business partner in Saints and Sinners works for Universal Music Group. So he doesn't exactly have a lot of extra time. And then his brother, who does all the graphics for Saints and Sinners, works for Universal Music Group. So he doesn't have a lot of extra time. So for him to do just my T-shirts for the show are a pain in the ass. So yeah, Charleston, South Carolina, we were thinking about doing something around my birthday, doing a 3-day, 2.5-day mega herf where we have a welcoming, evening thing, and then a whole day herf, and then the next day we have a recovery breakfast type of thing. I've actually done it myself with Scott and the group over there, because I went there for an event with this guy named Joe Wilbur, who does Life of Lux. I don't know if you ever heard him. Mm-hmm. Joel holds these events of 25 people here and there, and it's really about raising money for different charities. And when I walked into Edmonds O's and I could light up a cigar, I was floored. So yeah, Scott's an awesome dude, and I want to keep on doing projects with him. And Charleston's just a trippy place, dude. I've been there for a wedding.
I love Charleston.
It's awesome. Absolutely cool place.
We renewed our vows our second anniversary, and did another basically a wedding on the beach. We had photographers. We hired photographers from down there. We hired ministers from down there. Yeah, we went over and renewed our vows on the beach, and love Charleston. So 2 questions. One, when's your birthday?
Oh, December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day.
Nice.
Pearl Harbor
and,
Day.
And two, for
I
somebody who's
celebrate
been
Pearl
trying
Harbor
to
Day,
get,
not my birthday.
there you go. For somebody who's been trying to get into Saints and Sinners for a while, how do you get into that?
You need a referral, and I'm probably your best referral. So you just got to send me another email. Yeah,
Mick,
again, we'll
Mick's
see.
my PA
We'll see.
on this one. Send an email.
We give the existing members about a month to rejoin, and then we allow the new members to come in via referrals from a member. That's how you get a referral from a member, gets you in.
Right.
And a lot of times the members don't want to give their referrals up, so they keep them. I don't know why they don't. They want to keep the community small, which doesn't make a community for me. But ultimately, like I got a call this morning at 9 a.m. and there was like 500 people that already signed up.
Wow.
As renewals. So
wow.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a glitch in the email that went out to the membership, but it's fixed now. But yeah, so if there was ever, you guys go by days, today is May 1st, everybody.
Yep.
I got to put a timeline here because otherwise people are like, well, what day am I watching this? May 1st.
Very true. I think Charles and I both have enough going on with what we do, but if there was ever another social cigar community I would like to be a part of, yes, I will be sending that email to you later for me and Charles. So keep that in mind. We'll see where it goes.
It ends up being just a community, and the community over the years ended up being like a reminder. We have a saying, it's a reminder of who we are as people. And it's really a brotherhood. I mean, there are some people that get in the club and they're in the club for the wrong reason. They get the membership kit and they ends up putting up on on Instagram or Facebook for sale immediately because they see that they can sell it to someone else for more money. That's for the wrong reason. But I mean, we've had times where we've actually raised money within the club for other members that were going through hard times. So
that's awesome.
It's supposed to be a family and more about than just rolled up dried pieces of tobacco.
Well, that's good. And it's we say it all the time and you hear it all the time. It's amazing what that rolled up piece of tobacco has done for so many people.
Right?
I mean, it's a community like no other. I mean,
it's
the closest thing I can think of is whiskey, but even the bourbon community is not this tight knit.
I've gotten into some arguments with some bourbon guys. Like I'm a bourbon guy also, but like sometimes I kind of like I had a debate with some Willet fans about how Willet does their allocations because I thought that Willet was giving too much to everybody that walked into the distillery. Like I thought it would be fair if someone could go into the distillery, grab, 1 or 2 bottles, but then they're like, oh no, you can have 3 or 4. And I'm like, yeah, but that's unfair to the 300 people that are in line that by the time they get to the front of the line, there's nothing left. Or like, no, we go in, we get our bottle that we can drink. And then we have, a couple of other bottles that we can sell to pay for the one we're drinking. I'm like, yeah, that's the wrong reason.
That's not right. Yeah. Yeah. Because
I've been to too many events like that where people have like bought something from me and then went out and sold it immediately after they had me sign it. Like old Monster edition boxes that they had me sign. And the next thing you know, it's on Facebook. I'm like, well, that sucks.
Yeah. Really.
There's that moment of humanity that it really, you kind of get crushed by. So yeah, ultimately there's a lot of great members. The majority are great and they really care about the brotherhood and the sisterhood because we have a lot of dude. We have a lot of manufacturers that are members of the club. Like Jonathan Drew used to be a member. John Huber used to be a member. I don't know if John still does it anymore. Every once in a while I get hit up by one. Like, I forgot to put my membership in. So I have to slip in a manufacturer that wanted to get a club kit. It's just the cigar industry is just a different world, dude. And this is a whole different dynamic that people don't know. They'll never get it unless they come to one show or one event and understand that we're just a bunch of normal people that like talking about nothing. That's it.
And there's not much better than that. I mean,
You-
I will say
you
the
just
cigar
described our
industry.
show.
And there's no pretense to anything. Like, I don't care what watch you're wearing. I don't care how much money you make. I used to be the poorest guy in the room playing cards with a director of a movie director who directed some very famous films, a sports agent, a lawyer, an accountant, a real estate broker in Los Angeles. The accountant became my accountant. The lawyer became my lawyer. Like,
Oh wow.
but ultimately, they didn't care. They just liked the fact that I knew everything about cigars that they didn't know. And we became friends because we could have a conversation about nothing.
Right.
That's how I got guys like Peter Weller to be the narrator, the guy who played RoboCop.
Right.
That's how I got him to be the narrator of the first Hand Rolled.
Oh,
Because
that's awesome.
I walked up and I said to Peter, I said, what would it take for you to do this? And he's like, a box of cigars and a couple $1,000. I go, perfect, done. And that's what friends do. So ultimately, great relationships, the best relationships that guided my whole life came out of cigars. And 32 years of being in this industry, it's probably the best part of what made me as a person. Forget about what my parents made me. This made me realize how to appreciate what my parents taught me.
That's awesome.
So you've
Not that
already
there wasn't a
started.
few fuck ups in between, though.
Oh yeah.
You've already started us
We get
going
that.
back in time. So let's go ahead and go back in time. Where did Pete Johnson grow up? How did he grow up? What was Pete like as a kid?
Grew up in Gardner, Maine. It looks like Gardiner, Gardiner. Gardner, Maine, a small town of 6,000 people. Kind of a normal kid in the early days. And then I got into music. And then I started disappearing from the house and stealing bottles of wine from the grocery store and stealing, Hava Tampas from the grocery store and Skull Bandits and stuff like that. So I got into a little bit of that rebellion stage. I think we've all had it. And then that drove me to where I just wanted to get the fuck out of Gardner, Maine. Like I went to school I wasn't great in school. Earlier on when I wasn't doing music, I was fairly smart, really good with numbers, 100 points in algebra every time I took it, or one year that I took it. But as soon as I got to geometry, I failed it. So some things didn't work. But as soon as I got interested in vocational schools, and I ended up going my senior year, I went to a vocational school. I excelled at running printing presses and doing graphics. So I actually ran printing presses my whole 3/4 of my senior year, because the first quarter I had to go to English in the morning and then to the regular class of the vocational school. The rest of the time of that year, I went to a job. They hired me out, and I got paid to go to high school. It was amazing. I made $5.50 an hour back in 1988 to run printing presses. I graduated in '89, but it was a great time for me. I learned a trade. I learned a skill. So I was able to carry that forward in life. But ultimately, music drove me out of Gardner to Los Angeles, and I wanted to become a rock star. And that's where it gets a little foggy. I didn't really play the rock star life, though. I never did drugs. A couple of things of weed here and there. Never did any of the other stuff, thank God. But there was definitely a lot of alcohol involved, and just being dumb, young, and the end of that one.
Right.
But we had a blast. I'm actually texting with my bandmates right now. We still talk. My guitar player wants to get together in June. So
that's what I was about to ask. Do you still talk to your bandmates?
Oh, dude, we were on a it seemed like a 2-hour text chain last night about getting together in Vegas because 2 of the guys live in Vegas. And I would just burst out laughing. And my wife would look at me. She's like, "What's so funny?" I go, "I'm texting with the guys." Like there's just something that just will never go away. The stupidity when these guys, when we always invite a buddy of ours, but when the 6 of us get together, there was 5 guys in the band and then our buddy. When we get together, there's just pure stupidity. Like everybody will get, that comes across us that week will become dumb from how much stupid shit happens because we have jokes amongst ourselves that no one will ever understand. We have a language that no one will ever understand.
Yeah, so I read somewhere that you had one of your first premium cigars or whatever, where it really kind of turned you into that cigar world while you were playing in the band. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I was sitting in my rental house in Los Angeles that I was living at in Toluca Lake, well, actually what they call Toluca Woods, Toluca Lake area, California, near the studios. And I was watching some type of one of these entertainment shows and people were smoking cigars, dressed all fancy and shit. I go, well, it seems like they're having a good time just smoking a cigar. I didn't really know much about it. And I remember having a couple cigars when I was younger that I stole from the grocery store, but they weren't premium. So I went to a local liquor store and I grabbed a Baring Imperial, which was a machine made, but a good quality machine made. And I smoked half of it and I put it down, put it in the ashtray, the makeshift ashtray because I didn't have a real one. I didn't realize you couldn't go back to it the next day. I didn't know that was you're not supposed to. And I was like, really, this is interesting. I felt at peace. Like there's something about mental health that cigars take you to a different level. That you can get really introspective and just kind of like have deep thoughts when smoking a cigar, especially when you're alone. Or even when you're with a group of guys that you have a good conversation with. And ultimately, I went to a real cigar store and I bought a cigar that was $2.50 that I was embarrassed to tell my girlfriend at the time that I spent that much on something that I was going to light up and burn. And because that was expensive. $2.50 was expensive back then. This was 1991. So that cigar was a super premium at the time. And ultimately, I went down the rabbit hole even harder, and I kept on smoking everything under the sun to find that one cigar that really caught me. And that one cigar that really caught me, it actually ended up being a Davidoff private stock. Private stock number, I keep on forgetting, it was a number 1 or number 11. It was a Robusto. Standard 5x50, but back then Davidoff truly had seconds. Like they would actually package those flawed, or maybe cigars that had a little bit of like discoloring to them in a box and call them private stock. And they would sell for, a couple bucks a stick. And I bought a box of those because not only did they taste good, but they smelled good. And that was the first time that those two things really hit me. And then, of course, I went down that big rabbit hole of the Cuban stuff. And that's when I realized that, wow, cigars are a whole different level because Cubans back in the early 90s were way better than they are now, like way better. And I got hooked, dude. Like the rabbit hole went deep and I just never dug myself out of it.
I tell this story a lot. I went down a rabbit hole. I've only been smoking cigars like regularly for probably like 5 years now. Like I'd smoke on occasion, those anniversaries, fishing trips, shit like that. But I always bought like the Legacy brand, whatever they had at the local smoke shop, whatever. And there was a few cigars that led me through it. But I will tell you this, and I'm going kind of out of order here, but this is what we do in this show.
Yeah.
So I actually saw all these people. It was probably 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago when the Lomo di Cerdo came out, the Tuxla. And that's one that still to this day, I swear, is one of my favorite cigars, especially with a few years of age on it, is one of my favorite cigars. And it really took me down that rabbit hole of just digging into cigars. And it's still to this day, it's one of my favorite cigars. A lot of them I've moved on from. That one I have not.
I'll tell you, the one thing that we do, everything that the Garcias do and myself, I've been part of this, obviously, since literally day one. Actually, Tatuaje is technically day minus of the Garcias doing their own thing, because Tatuaje was the first cigar that they ever made before they even made their own. The cigars are built to age. The whole thing for us is like when you smoke something off the bench, you'll get the sense that, wow, this is gonna be beautiful as it ages, but it's perfect now. It's the best analogy that I can tell you is like opening up a brand new bottle of wine from a good producer. You know that it's great. You know that there's good juice in the bottle, but you know it will only get better with time. But it doesn't matter when you drink it. I used to get shit on when I was drinking really nice wines when I was younger that somehow I got a hold of. My friends that were big wine snobs and people that I looked up to, movie producers, directors, all these things, they're like, why'd you drink that? You shouldn't drink that for another 10 years. I'm like, it was in front of me. Like, I didn't know there was a rule to this thing. So, like, we tell people, like, if you like it now, smoke it now. If you like it in 5 years, smoke it in 5 years. But you can get 10, 15, 20 years out of these things because they are truly built to age.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that Karloff that I have from 5 years ago is going to smoke fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that will be that. If it's been aged, you got to know that it's province. You got to know where it came from. You got to know where it's been aged. And if you are babying it like it should be babied, when you get to it, it will eventually be beautiful.
65, like I've fucked 65 up more, is where I keep it.
I've fucked up more cigars in my life than I've care to even talk about, because there's sometimes, like, I have a Davidoff Dom Perignon that I know I'll never smoke because I ruined it. It got over humidified at one time. It got overly cedared, so now it just smells like cat piss, and you know what that smells like.
Yeah. So Big Bear Jordan wants to know, what wine are you pairing with the potential new Karloff? I don't think it's the potential new Karloff anymore.
It is.
I think it is the new Karloff that he's teasing everybody with. But is this actually
a Spanish?
Is this a Costco wine?
No, it's a Spanish Rioja. It's called Viña Arana. You can buy it for about $50. I went into a restaurant we go local to. They had it on the menu for like $75. I bought it and I was like, this is absolutely fabulous wine. I went online, found it, bought more of it. But yeah, this is a 2015 Rioja, which is Tempranillo. Just a really good pairing for cigars. I guess Spanish and Spanish go well together.
Hell yeah. It is kind of an unpopular opinion in the cigar industry, but I am a huge fan of dry red wines with cigars. Like, I absolutely fucking love them.
I would like to say that myself and a few people in the wine industry that smoke cigars were part of that. And Michael Herklotz is another guy from Ferro Tegel. We promote, it's not for everybody because there's acid levels that are going to conflict, right? But ultimately, it wets your palate, and sometimes the cigar dries your palate, and you want those combinations. I think it's an amazing pairing. Yes, 2015 for Spanish red wine was a great year, by the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, I think it's really personal preference. I suggest it to people. I tell you, you might like it or you might hate it. Just try it. Try it once because you might fall in love with it. But I have a ton of friends that's what we do.
Well, that's a pairing I really haven't gotten into. I know Mick does a lot of it, but that's something I'll start looking into. So you're in Los Angeles. You're in with a band. How did you meet? How did you and this band form? How did you guys get together and decide that you were going to try to take over the world?
So there was a clothing store that did like rock and roll clothing called Lip Service back on Melrose Boulevard in Los Angeles.
That's such a good name.
West Hollywood. Yeah, Lip Service. They did, like when we were younger, we were trying to figure out like where does Metallica buy their really tight black jeans? Like where do they get them from? Come to find out, I guess they were getting theirs from like Germany or something. But Lip Service had like their own brand of skinny jeans, like tight rock and roll rocker jeans. So I went into Lip Service and there was a flyer on the floor because they had a stack of flyers from bands and like bass player needed for tour. And I had already auditioned for a couple other bands. And I called these guys. They're like, we're coming up to LA. We like, where do you live? They're like, we live in San Diego area. I'm like, okay. So they came up to Los Angeles, met me. We hung out for a night on the Sunset Strip, and they're like, okay, you're hired. They heard me play on some demo tapes. That's it. They never saw me play live, nothing. They're like, okay, you're hired. We need the bass player now. You're cool. We like you. Let's go. By the way, you need to move to Jamul, California, which is in the middle of the desert, outside of San Diego. And I did it. I ended up in my guitar player's mom's house where we lived, and we practiced in her garage and got ready for the tour that lasted like a day and a half. The tour was
a long tour. What happened with that one?
Okay, so we played one show in San Diego, opening up for this band called Monroe. The lead singer, James Monroe, I think, he ended up becoming a country star. But Monroe was the headliner. We were the opening act. We practiced in the same studio outside, of course, the garage. And then the second stop was in this place called Victorville, California, up in the high desert. And while we were up there, we had a good time. We were getting ready for the show, and next thing you know, we were getting kicked out of every hotel. And then come to find out, the guy that was managing the tour was like pocketing every cent of any money that was coming in from ticket sales. So we did the show at the Victorville Fairground, but then ended up the tour got canceled after that. It went no further. And then we were trying to figure out what to do in Jamul, California. And I said, I have an apartment in Los Angeles that I just left that I still pay rent on that we can go back to. My name's on the lease. And I had a roommate. Swear to God, I had a roommate that I moved from Maine to California with this girl that was going out to California. We weren't boyfriend and girlfriend, just friends. Graduated at the same time. Let's go to California. We'll share rent, the whole thing. I get back with the whole band, the 5 guys, thinking I was going to run into my one roommate. She had already left and sublet to 3 other girls. So it was 5 guys and 3 girls in a 1-bedroom apartment. And yeah, dude, it was
I feel like there's another story here.
It was just complete.
I was about to say, I think there's been a few movies that's been made like that.
It was complete just stupidity. 2 of the girls were sisters. The other girl was
definitely a movie made.
Was like their this. Friend. It ends up telling you there's a really small world though, because I went out to a nightclub one night. There was this great nightclub that changed themes every day, and one night it was like a drag show because it was right in the middle of West Hollywood, California, but they had another one called English Acid, which was like a rock and roll club, and then one called Bordello, which was also rock and roll but no live music, just kind of a hangout. And I run into this girl, and I knew this fashion designer in LA that he kind of had the hots for me, but he knew that I I didn't swing that way. So we were just friends. And I met him at I think it was Bordello, and this girl came up to me and just started talking to me. And we had this like real deep conversation. Meanwhile, like people like David Lee Roth were walking by me and shit. I'm just paying attention to this girl. And somehow I can't remember, but I gave her the number to the apartment. And one day I get back to the apartment and my drummer Dave was on the phone with this girl. I go, who are you talking to? He goes, dude, there's this girl that you met at this club the other night, and I went to school with her roommate. Like, that's the weird small world. And I ended up dating this girl for a little bit, and that was a whole nother story because she introduced me to the Chili Peppers and all these great people. One guy from this band called Fishbone who actually saved my life one night by pulling me out of I was vomiting in my sleep, like laying on my back, and he pulled me up out of doing that and put me in the toilet and yelled at me and said, "Sing to the Dookie Master." Like, so every time I would see him, I would thank him. But like John Frusciante showed up at my door one day, and I turned around to my girlfriend. I said, why is he here? Oh, well, Hello Slovak died in this building, and he comes here to meditate on our balcony. I'm like, okay, this is just a trip. So there's a lot of stories, a lot of shit that happened in my life, but there was a lot of growing up and a lot of stupidity while you're growing up. But yeah, ultimately, LA became just my college. That was where, instead of going to a vocational college and running printing presses for my career, I went to the Sunset Strip and learned how to be somewhat of a social idiot. But I learned, a lot and met a lot of great people, and some relationships have carried over until this day.
So with the music career, the band, how long did the band last? What was, if you had to describe your music and say it sounded a little bit like this?
Well, I don't know if you've heard this story. I don't know if you heard this story, but when we started, so we started in 1990. It was the beginning of, like, I moved there in 89, met up with them at the end of 89 or beginning of 1990, joined the mock tour that never happened, moved back into Hollywood with the group. And we started kind of more like, I don't know, it was like maybe like Warrant, Skid Row-ish type of music. It was hair metal. Okay. And then we slowly progressed because we all had different influences. Like, we all had vast different influences. I was into, Guns N' Roses, but also into Duran Duran because I like the bass players. Obviously, I was following bass players, and John Taylor from Duran Duran is an amazing bass player. And of course, Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses is an amazing bass player. So I was a bass player fan. I would follow bands that had great bass players. Led Zeppelin, stuff like that. But like, the drummer was into Kiss, but he was also into King Diamond, and we were all over the place with music. And of course, our singer was probably more into like Warrant and stuff like that. So we eventually progressed and got harder and harder and harder, but we realized we all sang really well. So we did a lot of harmonies. So we did heavy music with a lot of background harmonies. So it was really harmony based. And ultimately, I used to say that we're kind of like a cross between Alice in Chains and Extreme. I don't know if you know the two. Oh,
bands. That's awesome. Yeah.
So Alice in Chains and Extreme, because they both had harmonies, but they vastly different music styles.
Oh, yeah.
Fast forward, we had great management, great lawyers. Our management did the Duran Duran. They did Duran Duran. They did the Bee Gees. They did Richard Marx. It was a company called Left Bank Management. They were kind of treating us like a pet project. So we weren't officially signed to them, but we had a lot of meetings in that building, and they kept, they had this one guy that worked for Left Bank that kind of said, "Trust me on this. I think these guys are going to go somewhere." And they got us great lawyers, which this guy named Jeffrey Light and Eric Greenspan. Jeffrey Light did Bullet Boys, Slaughter, softer hair metal bands. And then Eric Greenspan did like Chili Peppers, Jane's Addiction, Ice-T's Body Count, shit like that. Like he was the hardcore guy, and then you had the hair metal guy. Well, they brought us in for a meeting one day and said, hey, we got some things we need to talk to you about. And we're like, wow, this is it. They finally found the record company they're going to sign us to. And they're like, we need to drop you. And we're like, what? Like, why? Like, well, we're going to find you. We have a recommendation for another lawyer, but we need to drop you because we just signed a new band that you guys sound way too much alike. And we need to concentrate on this new band because we think they're going to be pretty big. And that was Stone Temple Pilots. So,
oh man, if your band sounded like them, I would have loved it because STP is one of my favorites.
If you think about Stone Temple Pilots, we had a lot of driving riffs, but Stone Temple Pilots also had a lot of harmonies. So that was our niche really, because people actually saw that we could play live. Like, we didn't suck when we played live, and we played with a lot of bands that sucked when they played live. Like, there was a lot of glam bands on the Strip that we would go and support them, but they were no good. There was a guy in a band called Slamhound. This is a great story. He was in a band called Slamhound. Great singer, amazing, entertaining singer. He was a little rough around the singing part when he was younger, but amazing frontman. So we would always support him. If we knew he was playing, we'd go see him play. And if he knew we were playing, he'd come see us play. He eventually evolved into a band called Buck Cherry. He's the Josh Todd, the singer of Buck Cherry.
Amazing.
So I have all these old magazines from the Sunset Strip with all these guys that evolved into these famous bands. That we were on the cover, but we were on the cover of those magazines, but we never got signed. And these guys just stuck with it and eventually got signed. We had a good time, man.
That's amazing. Yeah, the SDP thing. If Scott could have stayed off heroin, man, it'd still be fucking amazing. It's crazy.
He was one of the best frontmen. I'll tell you, before our singer even heard about Scott Weiland, he was already doing more like Lane Stanley shit. He was more just he came into practice one day with his head shaved, and then his head turned blonde, and he was wearing overalls and jumping around stage. He became a front man. He became something that like really drove people to the group, on top of the music capability. So when Scott Weiland came in with Stone Temple Pilots, the way he looked, yeah, they already had him, so they didn't need us. So yeah, it was, dude. I could talk about this shit all day. We had a blast. We became almost famous. I was 145 pounds soaking wet. Now I'm 250.
So how long after? So how long after the bad news did you guys last, or was it one of those things like, well, fuck it?
We got new lawyers. We got our new lawyers. They wanted a rock and roll band because they didn't have one. They managed, or their council or their team of people did Tiffany, the mall singer. I think we're alone now.
Yeah.
You don't remember? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then the guy that played the pan flute or whatever, Yanni.
Yep.
Which is really funny because here I am now married to a girl named Yanni. It's just weird how life twists yourself. We kind of stuck it out for a few more months. And one day during our band meeting, after we got kind of pressured by our lawyers and our management, they're like, you can't go out and play live unless we make sure that no one's going to show up, because we want to make sure that we invite all the industry people that we want to show up. And so we're playing dive bars just to keep our riffs together. And band meeting comes in one day, and the lead singer comes and goes, "Yeah, I don't want to scream for a living anymore." And we're all like, what do you mean? And he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to leave the band." And this is like 5 brothers that now you got a brother that says, "I don't want to be a brother anymore." And the 4 of us went back to the studio, and we practiced without him. And we each took turns singing. Well, me and the guitar player took turns singing. And it just never felt right. Like something about it just never felt right. So we just said, fuck it, we're done. I ended up moving on. The lead singer actually ended up in another heavy metal band, which cracked me up. The guitar player went on to do some other stuff. I ended up in a band with this kid named John Lowry, who became John 5. If you know who he is, he's one of the most talented guitar players ever. He did Manson, Rob Zombie, and now he's a guitar player for Motley Crue. And Randy Castillo, who was Ozzy's drummer, who passed away. But Randy, John, and this other singer were, this guy from the Four Horsemen was the singer in the band, and I came in as the bass player. And ultimately, I kind of probably owed this one, because I was the one that said that, Frank, the singer, wasn't that good, that we should look in a different direction. So the 3 of us started looking in a different direction with the producer, and the producer suggested this one guy. I can tell you his name. His name's Mark Bender. He suggested Mark Bender to be the singer, and Mark was kind of like 9 Inch Nails type of singer. And he wouldn't come to the band without bringing his bass player, so I got booted.
Oh.
Fast forward many years, though.
That sucks.
Fast forward many years. I'm already in the cigar industry. I'm doing fairly well in the industry. By this time, I'm probably close to 20 years in the industry as a whole. And I run into John Lowry, John 5, in Beverly Hills, outside of a restaurant. And I say, "Hey, John, Pete, good to see you again." And he goes, "How do I know you?" And I said, "We were in a band together." And he goes, "What band was that?" I go, "Red Square Black." He goes, "Oh, yeah, that was a long time ago." I go, "Good to see you." And I walked away, and my buddy that was with me, he goes, "How'd that go?" I go, "This guy's a fucking asshole." Like, how does he not remember that we were in a band together? Like, I held his baby. Like I knew his ex-wife. Like,
wow, that hurts.
Yeah, that was a wake-up moment for me. It was like, you can't forget your past. You have to remember everybody that brought you through everything. And ultimately, I was like, I had that moment of like, fuck, I don't want to be that guy. And there was a point in time that I thought I might become that guy. And I realized, okay, I need to change my tune.
Some people learn, some people don't. What was the name of the original band?
It's called Hung Jury. I didn't love the name. They loved it. They picked it. I didn't.
I actually like the name. I have to ask, as somebody who loves like graphic design, what was the logo like? What was your...
No, it was kind of like cowboyish. The first logo was kind of cowboyish. We had a couple different iterations, like cowboy font, whatever you could think of, Western font.
Oh
yeah. We had a couple different iterations of it. We had a guy that used to do really good artwork. He did some really cool T-shirts for us and used to paint the back of our leather jackets. Back in the old days, like you get your leather jacket painted.
Right.
I had Marvin the Martian on mine because I was a big Marvin the Martian fan. This guy was like more graffiti style. So we had a graffiti logo for a little while. And that was when we got a little bit more edgy in the style of music. Because we kind of touched everything when it came to music. We even played a cover song of Money, Money, Money from ABBA.
Oh, wow.
No
so
joke.
You can think about a heavy metal version of that. We played it once.
Wow.
The rest of
sounds
I
awesome.
convinced the guys to play it. I thought it sounded awesome. They came back to the next band meeting and said, we don't want to play it again. I was like, whatever. Our main cover song that we would do at every show, though, was always Goody Two Shoes by Adam Ant.
Okay.
So we kind of did more of a more extreme punk version, because Adam Ant was kind of soft punk, if you think about Adam Ant.
Oh, yeah. So maybe I missed it somewhere along the line. Did you ever do a kind of tribute cigar to that point in your life with the band?
No. No. Interesting story. It's actually going to show up in the documentary about Tatuaje and my father, and it's kind of like a little bit of the Boom story. There was my guitar player's dad. So one of my guitar players, his dad was a QVC guy. He was a pitch guy. He was the guy that you would wake up in the middle of the night and you see him pitching Red Devil Grills and, the Paint Roller Plus. That's him. And Jan Muller is his name. And Jason called me, says, hey, my dad wants to talk to you about the cigar business. And I had just started, I think it was like 1995 or 1996. So I'd only been in the cigar industry for like 3 years. And he said, the cigar industry seems to be pretty hot right now. Do you think you want to start a cigar line? I go, I would love to put my name behind something. And he goes, well, what are your thoughts? I go, well, I'm going to the Dominican Republic right now. Maybe I can look for something. So I went to the Dominican, met a bunch of people. I had plans to visit a few big people. The ultimate goal was to convince the Fuente family, who I was friends with because I had an Opus X tattoo on my arm. Hey, do you think you can make a cigar for me? But they were really busy. It was in the middle of the boom, so no one had time. But there were a couple people that did this. Yeah, we have this cigar. And I'm like, what's that? They're like, oh, we can put your band on it. I look at it, I go, that's one of your cigars. Yeah, but we can put your band on it. I go, yeah, that's not what I want to do. I want to be part of the whole process. So I got back from that trip and I told Jan, I said, listen, it's not going to happen. I realized I don't know anything about that side of the industry, and I have a lot to learn. So I never did anything with Jan. And I kind of took, a pause on coming up with a brand all the way till 2003. So I waited another 7 years before I found the one guy, which was Pepin Garcia. And I remember smoking not the first cigar he rolled me, but the one cigar that I was like, yeah, that's it. And I said, holy shit, I'm going to make a cigar with a guy I don't know, that no one in the industry knows. And what are you going to call it? I go, I don't know. I have no idea. And then finally, what's personal? What's personal to me? Everybody called me Tattoo Pete in the industry. So I'm like, I asked a busboy, I said, at the Grand Havana Room in Beverly Hills, I said, how do you say tattoo in Spanish? And he's like, tatuaje. I go, can you spell that? And he wrote it down on a piece of paper. I wish I had that piece of paper still. He wrote it down on a piece of paper. I learned how to pronounce it. And then when Pepin told the family that he was going to make a cigar for a guy with tattoos and he was going to call it Tatuaje, everybody in the family was like, I don't think this is going to go too well. Like literally, that's the first reaction. I don't think this is going to go over well.
That might, honestly, we always ask about the brand name and what's behind it and whatever. That might be the coolest fucking story we've ever gotten on that. That was awesome, man. That's and it was on the fly. That was fun. That's what we do here. That's awesome, man.
Awesome. Yeah. By the way, I'm seeing my text messages come up on my screen, and it's my bandmates trying to coordinate this Vegas trip.
Oh, that's funny.
No, we still have the same love for each other.
That's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that you guys, after all these years, are still, you're still tight and you're still close and you can still, reminisce and have some fun. That's great.
Yeah. There's nothing better than to be able to, bust someone's balls that won't get, so sensitive about it. And we live in vastly different worlds, and we probably live in vastly different politics, but it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
So let's go into, I know we talked to you in the green room before we went live about, you working in cigar lounges. So how did you go from, playing in bands to actually working in cigar lounges and building, that kind of history that would eventually take you into where you are now?
So I had a dead end job. I was dating a dancer.
A dancer.
I was dating a
Was
dancer.
there a pole involved?
Yes. And I ended up needing a job because the band broke up. And I got a part-time job as what you'll call a bouncer, but not. I wasn't really a bouncer. There were bigger guys in the building that would come to remove people. I was like an assistant bouncer. Yeah, I was the cooler, actually. I was the guy that would walk around.
That was my job for a long time.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Many different bars. I was the guy that was, my job was to cool you down, to try to make sure that everything went right. And if it didn't, I let my guys know that it was time for you to leave.
Yeah, exactly. So that's basically what it was. The lucky part for me is that I actually got to smoke cigars while I worked. So I would sit at the front door and smoke cigars while people were walking through. And I would just scope the room. And, it was a dead end job. I wasn't going to go anywhere working at a strip club. Ultimately, I kept on I would frequent two stores in Studio City, Sherman Oaks, California. One was called Gus's Smoke Shop, and the other was called Cigar Warehouse. And this guy named Larry Wagner, who owned Cigar Warehouse, still a friend. He no longer owns it. A new friend of mine actually owns that store now. Larry retired from the business, but there was a point where I kept on going back to Larry, and I felt like there was a kind of a cool vibe to the store. He had one employee that I didn't get along with that kind of would follow me around like I was going to steal something in the store. And I was about to go ask Larry for a part-time job as an apprentice. Like I was like, hey, can I come in and just learn about this? And then one day, one of the other guys from the other store, Gus's Smoke Shop, who I had a great relationship, showed up at the strip club and said, hey, you want a part-time job? And I said, yeah, doing what? He goes, well, Sundays are pretty busy and we always need more pipe tobacco for the customers that are coming in. So we need someone in back, mixing our pipe tobacco blends while I'm up at the register ringing up sales. And I said, yeah, I'm in. So I learned about how to put pipe tobacco together really quick. And I learned about blending, and I started experimenting with my own blends of pipe tobacco, and we would goof around in the shop and do that. Within 6 months, I started running the cash register, and in 6 months, I started running the humidor, which was the size of a 6x6 closet. And I ended up becoming like a buyer for the store. We need more of this. This is what I'm selling a lot of. And I just went down that rabbit hole really heavy. And within probably a year, the owner of the store said, hey, I'm going to take you to the trade show. And I went to the trade show and I started, scoping the room and finding all these brands that no one knew about. And I brought a brand into Los Angeles that no one knew about called Padron. And then I brought another brand.
What was that brand?
It was called Padron. And then I brought another brand back then called Puros Indios. We were one of 7 retailers in the whole country that carried Puros Indios during the heydays of Puros Indios when they were getting 92-point ratings in Cigar Aficionado. So the store everything started increasing in the cigar industry back then, but the store had a lot of popularity already, but it was predominantly a pipe store. It became more of a cigar store very quickly. And then I started getting job offers to go other places. And one was to go to New York, work in the Hamptons at a new cigar and wine store in the Hamptons. Ultimately, I didn't want to take that job. And then Grand Havana offered me a job to move to New York to open up their club. And I told them some ridiculous amount of money because I really didn't want to move to New York. And then fast forward, I moved to another store because I quit working at Gus's. I moved to another store, was the GM of that store, was doing really well with that store, but wanted more. And Grand Havana came to me and said, hey, we want to open up a bunch of retail shops across the country. We need a director of retail. Would you want to interview for the job? By that time, I was already a member of the Grand Havana Room. And one of the stipulations of being an employee of the Grand Havana Room is that I couldn't be a member. And I told them, well, I don't want the job. So they made an exception for me to keep my job working, keep my membership, but also working for the club. And they put me on the spot and they told me, okay, go to Vegas, open up a retail store. I had no clue what I was doing. They're like, you need licenses. Go down to City Hall and get licenses. I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing. Like, I know how to run a retail store. I know how to set up a store. I have no idea how to get all the business licenses to do it. I thought that was your job. You're the corporation. I'm the manager, the GM. I didn't know the GM had to do all the legwork. So I stayed with Grand Havana for, 10 years. I think it was like I was like on my 9th or 10th year, because in 2003, when I met Pepin, I was still working for Grand Havana, but I didn't leave Grand Havana until 2006 because I knew I couldn't afford to not have a real job, because I didn't know if the cigar industry was going to take to a brand called Tatuaje. Ultimately, in 2006, it was my 4th trade show at the time. It was a standing room only trade show. I could not move. We walked into the trade show with 100 accounts and walked out with 350. So at that point, I looked at the owner of the Grand Havana Room. I told him, I said, listen, I really appreciate everything, but I can't do both jobs anymore. And he goes, go for it. So, ultimately you have good people in your life that push you over the cliff into a different direction. And that was a blessing for me, because he pushed me into a whole nother world. He said, yeah, do it. We'll find someone else. I actually ended up finding them a replacement, but by that time they had scaled down a lot. So it wasn't a big deal. But yeah, it was a good experience, learning a lot from being a member of the club, but also running such a big establishment when it came for inventory control and understanding how cigars sold, and understanding how, it's not easy for a sales rep to walk into a store and try to sell a cigar. So I learned kind of backwards in a sense, but ultimately all that knowledge I learned being a consumer first, and then a retail, and then manufacturer distributor, it taught me a lot how to treat it backwards.
Yeah, I was just going to say that that time in the lounge and seeing what people liked and what they didn't, it had to play a part in what you wanted to create moving forward. And also for them to say, yeah, go for it, man. Like that's what real people do. I mean, that's phenomenal. Obviously you played your role in their business moving forward. And they promoted you.
I do the same thing with our company. So Casper, his name's Sean Johnson, no relation. He worked with me on Saints and Sinners, but he was also part of Atelier when we first started it. And when he came to me, he says, listen, man, I got a job opportunity at Universal and it's going to pay me a ton of money. And I got to take care of the family. I said, dude, go for it. Like, go for it. And his brother was working for me doing graphics and stuff and packing boxes. And he came and he says, listen, I got a new job offer with this graphics company that does T-shirts and hats all over the world. I go, dude, Tatuaje is not here to hold anybody down. If you have a better opportunity, go for it. The reality is Tatuaje is at this level and we can only afford to, to pay this level. So, and there was no really any way to like boost yourself up in the company because the last guy standing will always be me. Like, and you're talking about a 5-person company. So it's like, there's not much room to give. That's why we don't do titles in our company, because it's like, what do you, like, we would ruin all the titles in the first 5 people, the only 5 people.
So you're working in lounges in like Vegas and LA. I'm sure you've had to run across, some higher clientele, celebrities, whatever. Were there any of the, what were some of the celebrities that you had a chance to either meet or sit down with, or,
well, I mean, the Grand Havana Room
any
exposed
decent
me.
stories, any decent stories from that era?
Grand Havana Room exposed me to everybody. I mean, I played golf with a bunch of guys that one guy that ended up becoming a fairly big actor. Still, when I see him, we're still very good friends. I don't talk to him much anymore because he's obviously on a different level. One of my best friends was this guy named George P. Cosmatos. He was a movie director, and he did a small movie called Tombstone, and we were like best friends. Like, yeah, we were best friends. Is such good friends that he gave me the gun from Tombstone. I actually have the gun from Tombstone in the room behind me.
Whose gun was it?
The Peacemaker, the Kurt Russell's gun.
Really?
Yeah. So the movie
That's
gun.
insane. That's awesome.
That I have that in this house. It
awesome.
doesn't shoot because I filled the chambers up with silicone because George was paranoid that someone was going to break in and put a bullet in the gun and shoot him. So he wanted me to fill the chambers up with something that eventually I knew the gunsmith on the film Tombstone also. So he's like, I can clean that out easy, and we can, certify it and make sure. I'll probably end up eventually donating it to a movie museum.
That would be cool.
Because I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's just sitting here. I look at it every once in a while. Maybe one day it will be in a museum and donated by Pete Johnson. We'll see.
You should.
I got to sit down with Mel Gibson one night.
Stuff like that. You should take a
crazy
picture of and put on
conversations.
your Instagram and kind of like show it, because I'm sure people would love to see that kind of shit.
I posted my picture of my trophy getting a hole-in-one at Sherwood Country Club, which was when I was playing with this actor buddy of mine. I'm still good friends with a couple of the guys that one of my best friends is actually one of the guys that took me golfing that day. Still to this day, but like I've had silly conversations with I've had conversations with guys like Vince Neil at a bar while Tommy Lee was in the room, and Vince and Tommy weren't talking to each other at the time.
The Crew is one of my all-time favorite bands.
Me too. I was a Nikki Sixx guy. So
yeah.
Yeah, dude. I sat down with Dennis Rodman one night and just had a real conversation, just because he was still playing basketball and he really wanted to play for the Lakers again, because he had a brief stint with the Lakers, and Phil Jackson was now coaching the Lakers. And I said, do you think you're going to get called back up? He goes, I'm just waiting for Phil's call. And he goes, I hope so, because I think I could offer something to the team. So like a real conversation, you could sense that he really needed it, but Phil never called him. Like it was kind of like depressing in a sense. Mel Gibson
he was actually a real person, not the persona that he tried to put on TV.
Nah, dude, all these guys are real people. I mean, I had a crazy conversation with Mel Gibson one day where I think he was high on nicotine, because he was smoking a cigar, inhaling it, but he also had a giant nicotine patch on his back that he lifted up his shirt and showed me this fucking tar that he had, that his holistic doctor had put on his back with like, a piece of gauze. And I go, I don't think that's going to help you quit smoking. He was trying to quit smoking cigarettes. And he's like one of those true smokers that when he smokes, you really sense that he smoked a lot of cigarettes at one point in his life. A lot of people are gone. A lot of, George passed away years ago. I met Warren Zevon, the Werewolves of London guy, when I was selling cigars in my first store. This guy named Robert Dobby, who was a He's still an actor. You know him from being the FBI agent in Die Hard, the first Die Hard in the helicopter.
Best Christmas movie ever.
Yeah, it is the best Christmas movie ever. I met a lot of people, but all these guys just were normal dudes. That's it. They were just normal guys smoking cigars, and there was no like, oh my God, you're a celebrity and you're some stupid kid that knows a lot about cigars. It was just, let's just shoot the shit about nothing. And that's, I go back to that whole thing. It's a conversation about nothing a lot of times.
I know this probably sounds stupid, but like that's how we feel in this show, because like we get people on like you that we're like, holy fuck, these are these guys we've been wanting to talk to forever, and we like geek out over it every fucking week, and it's so cool because we get these behind the scenes stories and like the little shit that we've been wondering forever. Like you could read an interview all day long, and
yeah, normal dudes
actually get to sit down. You still don't understand everything that's going on. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I have a lot of stories. Ultimately, all of them are pretty boring because it's not like we talked about something interesting. We played poker at a table for 5 hours and we just shot the shit and, you know, joked with each other and called each other assholes. And the next morning we woke up, went back and rinse and repeat, you know?
See, that's what's interesting is that you look at it as that's not interesting, but looking at it from somebody who, one, I'm not saying fanboying or anything like that, but they're a fan of the product that you've created, but they're also a fan of learning the past stories behind it. We as watchers and you know, people who enjoy hearing the stories, we enjoy hearing those stories that you're like, yeah, it was just one of those days where I was sitting back with Mel Gibson, and we're over here going, huh?
Well, the Mel Gibson thing was interesting because he goes, you ever been on a G5? I think back then that might have been a G3 or something like that, a plane, private plane. I go, yeah, right. No. He goes, and he looked at me, he goes, well, if you ever have the chance to buy one, do it. I'm like, yeah, you just did Braveheart and Passion of the Christ. You're worth $1 billion. I don't think I'll get there, but thank you very much.
So you never bought that G3?
No, never. I think it might have been a G4, but no, yeah, not even close. Not even a Cessna.
All right, so you're working in cigar lounges and doing all this awesome stuff, meeting all these awesome people. Let's go into the cigars. Let's go into. You said that you know you met. How did you meet Pepin?
A dear friend of mine. I really don't know if he's around still. His name Ben Gehrman. Ben was a Villazon sales rep. Villazon was the company that owned Punch and Hoyo back in the day before General bought them. And Ben started working for this company called Tropical Tobacco in Miami. Tropical Tobacco had a cigar called Don Juan made out of Nicaragua. They were part of the whole, you know, Don Nobody versions of cigars back in the old days, because a lot of Dons in cigars. And he called me and says, we got this new guy that came in from Cuba, and he called him Pepe or something like that. He couldn't pronounce his name. He goes, he might be able to make you a cigar. You still want to make one? I go, I kind of gave up that dream, but if you want to send me some samples, I'll try them. And the first sample came, and I was like, yeah, I didn't like it. He called me, goes, what do you think? I go, yeah, not really memorable. Don't worry, we're coming to Los Angeles, and we're going to meet with you at the Grand Event Room. We'll sit down. We're going to bring this guy. So in walks this guy named Pepin Garcia. No one knows him. He goes by Don Pepin. Don Pepin is a nickname for a lot of people that were named Jose Garcia in Cuba. So you got to understand where that is. And they're like, well, what do you want to smoke? I go, well, I don't know, something medium full. And they're like, well, make you 3 different style cigars. See what you think. And I didn't like any of the 3. And then through a brief conversation through translation, because my Spanish was nothing back then, I went down to my locker, grabbed 2 Cuban cigars that I had been aging, but I knew that they were smoking really well because I was smoking the whole box. And I gave him one, and I gave myself one, and we lit them up. And he looked at me, he goes, you want this? And I go, yeah, I want this. And he sat back down with the exact same tobacco that he rolled the previous 3 cigars I didn't like, and rolled me his version of that little cigar. And I smoked it. I go, holy shit, this guy nailed it. Like, this guy understands tobacco. He understands how to manipulate it and maybe pinch a little leaf here and there to change the flavor profile completely. And ultimately, that night was the night that I said, yeah, I'm going to.
What did that cigar become?
That was the original brown label in Miami, which we still make in Miami. Yeah, the 6 sizes that we make in Miami were part of that night. I remember we rolled a Lancero that night, and it's still part of the portfolio. And then
I know the blends change over time because tobacco changes over time.
Yeah.
But as close as you all can get to it, is it still as close as you can get to the same blend that you smoked?
Yeah, when I light up a brown label Miami, there's part of my sense memory that will tell me off the first puff whether or not that's the way it's supposed to be. And that's really just manipulating the blends over time to keep it as true as possible to the original. The original wrapper that we used was Corojo back in those days. We eventually switched to Habano in late 2006 because we had trouble getting the Corojo, and we found a great supplier with Habano, which became a great supplier to the Garcia family because no one was really using Habano. So Pepin, who was looking for tobacco, found a wrapper he thought was a great replacement for the Corojo that we couldn't get. And now everybody uses that Habano. Like, it's even hard to get now. But it's not really so hard to get for the Garcias because they built a relationship with that supplier early on. And it ended up being a very beneficial relationship for both parties because he sold more tobacco to people looking for the same wrapper that Pepin was using.
So this is all before he started My Father, right?
Well, okay, so in 2003, when Tatuaje started, the first cigar that they ever made was Tatuaje. A few months later, the trade show happened, and they started Don Pepin, Vegas Cubanas, and El Rey de los Habanos. So they brought out those three lines out of the factory. Obviously, I was a brand new brand, so I'm not going to take up a lot of production because I don't have sales. There were times where they would call me and say, hey, do you need more cigars? I'm like, yeah, just can you make me another 50 boxes? I'm thinking to myself, I don't even need them because I don't have any sales, but I'll take them because I know I want to keep the rollers working. And I encouraged them to actually find other clients because I knew I couldn't take up production. That was in 2003. 2004 changed a lot. I started taking up more of the production. 2005 changed where now I was taking up the majority of the production to the point where they were like, we can't make you any more cigars because now we have these 2 other people that we're working with and we're getting them a few cigars, but you're taking up the majority. Their brand was still not really a thing yet. I mean, people were buying it, but it wasn't really out there as much. 2006, they said, hey, we're going back to Nicaragua. We're going to open up a factory in Nicaragua. And the first thing I said was, are you going to keep Miami? Like, yeah, we're keeping Miami. I said, good, because I don't want to try to make the Miami product in Nicaragua. I want to do something different in Nicaragua and keep Miami running. And it worked that way for several years, where fast forward until I think it was like, I want to say like 2010, 2011, we were pretty much neck and neck, the same size company. And then once they got their first #1 in 2012 for Flor de las Antillas, that's when the separation started. And
Right.
ultimately, that was the point in time where I said, thank God I can actually sit back and relax and ride on the caboose for a while and not have to drive the train. And because ultimately I didn't want to ever drive the train. I just wanted to have a simple, happy life. So I actually cried that morning when they told me that they got number one, because I didn't want to be that guy. I became very introverted, where I wanted to start, like kind of step back into the shadows and not be so out there. Even though I am, it gave me a chance to relax and not have to travel as much, not have to be Pete Johnson cigar guy every day. Yeah, it did. It was a lot of work, but yeah, they didn't open my father factory until 2009. So that was 6 years after the brand started.
So I would say one of the first times that I heard about you all was, you being a music guy, you'll know, like Billboard magazine, all the music magazines are out, and they have like the bad boys of rock or the bad boys of this. And, it's all these lead singers of all these band members all posing together. Seeing a picture of you, John Hubert, Matt Booth, JD Drew, and it always escapes me, the
Dion
last guy.
from Illusione.
Yep, Leon.
And George Rico.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the first time that I'd ever was introduced. And what was funny is,
sorry.
What's funny is, I remember seeing you in that photo, but it was just something that I was reading about. I wasn't really big into cigars. I don't know why I was reading the magazine, but I happened to see it, and I remember seeing you in there. Fast forward 5 to 7 years later, I really get into cigars. And the cigar that brought me out into being I love cigars was a cigar by Matt Booth.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I've got his tattoo on me.
Nice.
So it became one of those things. And then
there's a great intertwining story to all of this, by the way.
Oh, I want to hear it in just a second. But I can't remember. I didn't ever think about, seeing that article. And I don't know if it was John that put it up there or if it was Matt that put it up there, but somebody posted that picture, and I was just scrolling through Instagram a couple of years ago, and it's like, I remember that photo.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those things that it's a full circle all the way back around. So you guys were these unknown, kind of bad known boys. People. You were the bad. You were the tattooed. You were the guys that had the different hairstyles, or you were the guys that had the young guns, the bad boys of the cigar industry. And I have tried researching that photo so many times to see if I could find that photo just to have it framed and put somewhere, because that's literally
what we need, son.
Yeah, that's the to me, that's the birth of the boutique cigar industry. That photo right there.
The boutique cigar industry was way before that. Like way before that. There was a guy named Tony Berhani that was really boutique back in the day. So there were a lot of, people that came way before us when it came to boutique cigars. But yeah, that cover, I think, helped transition the cigar industry to the mix of what traditional and rebel look like today. But Matt Booth.
You said you had a story. I got to hear that story.
Okay, so that cover was done by a cigar press by this guy named Thor Nielsen. So I met Thor when I told you the 3 years when I started doing the brand in 2003, but I didn't leave Grand Havana until 2006. Thor had come into the shop in, I think, 2005 or early 2006. And he was a cigar writer. He wrote for some online magazines and online websites that were doing cigar reviews, but also cigar descriptions when they were selling cigars on their website for a very big company, actually. And he goes, I'm moving to Los Angeles. If you need any help, let me know. And I hired him to pack boxes. Like Thor, who owns Cigar Press, used to pack boxes for me. And then one day he says, well, that company that I'm working for, they just canned me. And I was like, that's bullshit, dude. You're super talented. You should start your own magazine. I literally said you should start your own magazine. You should do your own thing. You're talented. You're a writer. You're a wordsmith. You know how to get this shit across. He goes, you know what? I'm going to do that. And he goes, I want to have you as the first article in the first magazine. So I ended up being the first article in the first magazine. But when, Thor ended up moving to Florida and he met a girl and he calls me one day, he goes, I'm getting married. And it was like super quick. We're like, okay. And he knew a bunch of cigar guys, and one of the newer cigar guys in the industry is Matt Booth that I didn't know. So I didn't like him. Like, I didn't like Matt Booth, but I knew John Huber, and Thor had invited all these guys to be part of his wedding group, but also the party, the wedding. So he said, just sit down with Matt for a little bit to have a conversation. We sat down, we became best friends. It was just because I didn't know him and I thought he was trying to tread on my shit. Like, here is like a tattooed guy coming in the industry, and I'm the tattoo guy because when I started in the industry, I was the only tattoo guy. So I was like, I don't like this guy. And I knew he was working with Christian, and Christian and I had a really good relationship, but I thought Christian was trying to replace me with this new guy. So I didn't know Matt. As soon as we sat down and talked to each other, we became friends, and we ended up in the same wedding party. John was at the wedding, but he wasn't in the wedding group. But Matt Booth was one of the groomsmen. Jonathan Drew was one of the groomsmen. One of the sales reps, this guy named Jake, who we're still tight with, was one of the groomsmen. So like, it's a small fucking world, like a really small world. So when Thor had this idea about doing this cover, I go, this is fucking gonna be awesome because I'm gonna hang out in a room with all these dudes I like hanging out with. And ultimately, like Dion was a client of mine for Tatuaje. He was a fan of the brand. He has a store in Reno, Nevada. He came to me and says, hey, can you make me a cigar? And I go, yeah, I'll make you a batch of this cigar. And he goes, I want to call it this. He called it 88 or, yeah, I think it was 88. And I didn't know what it meant, but it's going to be exclusivamente para fumare, which was his store. And then he sold it. And he goes, hey, by the way, I really like that cigar. Can you do it more? Because I want to make it into a brand. And I go, here's the guy's number. And I gave him the factory that I made those cigars out of. I gave him their number. I said, call him direct because that's not what I do. Like I have my own shit to take care of. You obviously want a future in this industry. You have your store, but now you want to have your own brand. And Dion and I are still great friends. Like, the reality is it's a small, tight-knit world. Like John Huber, when John left STG, when General bought out CAO, I asked John if he wanted to have a job with Tatuaje. And he goes, I'm not moving to Los Angeles. I said, dude, you're a marketing guy. You can work from anywhere in the world. There's a thing called computers now. You can do that anywhere. And I'm happy when John started his brand, he became his own thing. He carved his own path, like he likes to say. But ultimately, when he came to me and says, hey, do you think the Garcias have time for another client? I said, absolutely. So me vetting John, who was a friend of mine, to the factory, they instantly said, yeah, okay, we're good. So again, small, tight little world that, and we're all close. We all talk to each other.
Just hearing some of these stories where the backstory is really the whole story. You know what I mean? Like, because some of you guys are our favorites in the industry, and things that you guys have experienced in the past. It's just amazing hearing how it all ties together, man. It's that's literally why we do this. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great industry, man. There are a lot of great people. I mean, a few assholes, but I just try to steer clear with them. But 99.9% of that floor I can hang out with.
So you're one of the things that I said we'd get back to is your trip to New Orleans. So you are currently married to, I guess, the heiress of My Father Cigars.
She runs My Father Cigars, right. Actually.
So how did that happen?
Life, dude.
Life.
It was just life. We were both in relationships, and then our relationships basically ended at the same time. And when you end up talking to someone every day, they become your best friend. So we were best friends before we became a thing. And she was my first line of fire to the factory. If I had a complaint about something or if I needed something, she was the only one that spoke English. So ultimately, it just fell into place naturally. And then, one accidental night in New Orleans, we hook up. And I'll be honest, I fought getting into another relationship for a lot of years. And didn't want to. I enjoyed my single life. I absolutely enjoyed being a single man doing whatever the fuck I wanted to do without answering to anybody. And then I realized that I had the best companion by my side that I tried to ignore as much as possible. Then I realized that she was the one that saved me. So
I will 100%. I completely get that one, because that was what happened with my wife and I. Was, we were both coming out of something really, really rough and really bad, and we were each other's sounding boards, and we became pretty much just best friends. And then come to find out, my best friend became more than my best friend, and I got to marry my best friend. And that's the one thing that I always.
You still argue with your best friend?
Every day.
Yeah, there you go.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but it's not supposed to.
It's not easy, but it's well worth it.
Yeah.
So how did Dad take it?
Well, we kept it the worst industry secret ever. We kept it really
Everybody
quiet.
knew, but you thought you were being quiet about it?
Not a lot of people knew. One cigar guy, we were in Hawaii doing an event with another cigar guy, and we would always book separate hotel rooms. Like, we would always have separate hotel rooms, but that weekend we didn't, and because it was too expensive. And we ended up getting off the elevator, and we realized we were in the next room next to this other cigar guy. And he looks at it, he goes, "Oh, interesting." And then my sales rep and Yanni's president of sales caught us kissing in a car one night. We were all kind of loopy. I ended up buying my sales rep and her national sales guy iPads that night because I wanted to keep them. It was like hush money.
Wow.
We kept it a secret from the family for a long time, and eventually her brother, who kind of knew but didn't say anything, caught me coming out of her room, even though I still had a separate room at that hotel for no reason. And he says, and he looks at us in his broken English. He says, "Enough." He goes, "I'm going to tell the whole industry that you and my sister have a good relation." So ultimately the cat got out of the bag, but we tried to hide it for a while. That was from it was a couple years or a year and a half, really. I remember hiding in a closet, actually hiding in a bathroom in Germany while we were in Germany for a trade show. And her mom knocked on her door at 7 a.m. and I had stumbled into her room at 6 a.m. because I got locked out of my room. Because, again, I had a separate room. But I got back into the hotel at 6 a.m. and the front desk wasn't open. And they're like, "Yeah, I can't give you a room key." So I had to knock on her door. And next thing you know, like, her mom's waking her up for breakfast. And I'm in the shower hiding. So, again, we tried to hide it for a long time. It was more about respecting businesses, and we didn't want to ruin the customer, client relationship thing. And that was the first thing, is like, if you're happy, to her. If you're happy and it's not going to, you know, ruin our business relationship with Pete, then fine. Who gives a shit? And ultimately, I think we both improved because of it. Because I've always been their biggest critic. So like, you know, they listen to my complaints about things, or they listen to my opinion about, I think something's gone wrong with this, or something's gone wrong with, we need to check this production, that type of thing. And they also trust my opinion when, hey, this guy wants to do a cigar with us. What do you think? Oh yeah, John Huber, solid guy. You should totally do it. People don't know that I was actually in the building, in the room, when John was getting his first samples presented to him in the factory.
Wow.
And I think John tells this story every once in a while. He goes, he looks at me, he goes, Pete, this is like the third cigar they've given me, and I feel bad because every one of them is stellar. Like every one of them is good. I could put a name on all three of them. He goes, I feel like I should be doing like more work. I feel like, you know, like I feel like there's something way too easy about this. I go, dude, tobacco is going to speak to you, and if it's speaking to you, just don't overthink it. Because if you overthink it, you'll end up getting into a disaster where you never release the cigar.
Yeah.
Like I've done that multiple times where I've overthought a cigar and I ended up saying, fuck it, I'm not going to release it.
Yeah, I will say, first off, this is why we do this show, is these backstories, man. Phenomenal. This is awesome. Second of all, power couple. I mean, that's fucking awesome. And also, John has
My wife's got way more money than I do, by the way.
but the John Huber story, he's really hard to get on a show because he has a weird schedule, and it's all family stuff, and I get it. That's cool.
No, John's super family. Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. But when we do finally get him on this show, we're gonna absolutely ask him about those cigars. So that's awesome, man. It's all that inside information. We love this shit, man. That's incredible.
John's super creative. I mean, another reason why I even said, hey, you should come work for Tatuaje at one point. This was before he started Crown Heads. But he's just super creative, super knowledgeable, has a great palate, knows what he wants. And ultimately, I'm happy for where his life has taken him, because he's doing really well. And he's got a great business partner with Tim. Again, I've known Tim forever. Like, so Tim Osgener, like I was in a room in a cigar store in Studio City, California in 1990. Shit, what year was this? Maybe 97. And Tim, I had a cold, and Tim came to the store with some new samples for a new CAO. And within this cold, that I couldn't smell or taste much of anything, but I knew what a good cigar was. And I said, yeah, forget about all the other ones you're giving me. This one right here is the one you need to put out. And I think ultimately that was the cigar that they put out, but it was a group consensus because there was other people there, but you could taste that it was like the right way to go. No matter how bad the head cold was, you knew that was the only one that stuck out. And I became a big CAO fan. And then when I met John Huber when he was working for CAO, we became best friends because we had tattoos. And we were the only guys with tattoos on the show floor. So we became really tight. There was again, being tight in this industry too, is like Dion and I were so close to each other that we at one point agreed that we should stop texting each other because we were literally coming out with similar projects at the same time. We're like, we both said, yeah, we should probably stop talking to each other for a little bit because we're feeding off of each other, coming out with similar products. This is getting ridiculous.
Dion is somebody I would love to talk to as well one day. He's somebody that I've been told before that we need to try to get to where we can talk to him. But
he's a good dude, man.
He's
a great dude. He's really knowledgeable about cigars, really knowledgeable about the industry, loves what he does. None of these guys none of us rebels, go back to that whole thing.
Right.
When we were younger, we got a lot of attention from the old guard because they actually saw some potential in us. But then when it became a time for us to do our own thing, the old guard accepted us, the old manufacturers, the old tobacco guys accepted us. But then it turned into one of these things where, like, the old retailers did not want to hear from us because they weren't quite sure what we were all about. So it took a little bit of time to break that barrier. Did we lose someone?
Mick probably had to step away to do something really quick, but
Okay.
we had Tim on, earlier in the week. We set you up with the double header, and he made a comment that we needed to ask you about the time that he got to meet you, but it wasn't under giving you cigars to try. It was he was coming to collect a debt.
Oh,
and it wasn't from
well,
you.
No, yeah. My first job, which was Gus's Smoke Shop. Jimmy Hurwitz, God rest his soul, he's passed. He was a great boss, but he would probably string a few cigar companies along with paying their bills. And, it ended up being like there would be a principal of the company or a family member of the company would show up and say, "Hey, Jimmy, you need to pay your bill." So yeah, that was the first time I met Tim. He was jumping in because back then CAO was doing meerschaum pipes. They were doing, I think, were they doing tobacco? They were doing humidors.
I was about to say, I think they were doing the pipes and the humidors about that time.
Yeah, and they weren't quite doing the cigars yet. So yeah, Tim came in to get the payment on that bill from Jim. Jim was notorious. He's passed, so I guess I could talk to him. He was notorious for doing that. I didn't agree with it. That was probably one of the reasons why I left, because I didn't like some of the business practices. But he was just trying to extend his terms a little longer than negotiated.
Right.
Simple terms in the cigar industry back in those days were 30 days. And then some people would stretch it out to 60. And Jim was one of those guys that would stretch it as far as he could. So even though the store was doing tremendous business, that was it. That was it. I didn't agree with it.
So how long have you and your wife been married now? Asking
we got
a guy
married.
It's hard to do so.
We got married in 2019 here.
Nice.
On this patio, actually. We moved into this house in 2018, and I kind of made a commitment to her then that we're going to be together. And then it got really tiresome calling her my girlfriend. That was weird. Or my partner.
That's even weirder.
And it was 10 years, almost, not to the day. It was 10 years. Finally, that I said, I'm gonna buy a ring. And the fucked up part about it is I bought the ring. I had it delivered to the My Father office, and I made her carry the FedEx box around all day. And then the next morning on her birthday, I didn't do a fancy proposal. I woke up, turned over, presented the ring to her in bed.
That's
and
awesome.
She goes, "Is that what I think it is?" And I said, "Yeah, and you were carrying it yesterday all day." She goes, "You fucking asshole." So,
how many kids?
Yeah. Three boys. I'm the stepdad. I'm the evil stepdad. But I was with them since they were babies. So
the day I got married, I had 3 children. The day I got married, so I completely get that. I had a boy and 2 girls.
I had 3 boys as soon as I got married. But I was with them for, I've been, the oldest is 23. I've been with the family, working with the family for 22 years. So,
all right. So you just said 23. My oldest is 22, 21, and 13.
23, 20, and 16.
Damn, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
any of them showing any interest in either mom or dad's?
No,
you know,
yeah,
profession?
Joseph, the oldest, he's moved out. He graduated college, went to school for on a scholarship for volleyball. Talented sports
Congrats.
guy. Immediately when he came home, he had a 2-week vacation, and then she sent him straight to the office, and he's part of sales and marketing for my father.
That's
But
amazing.
I've instilled one key thing for these kids: don't walk into that building like you own it, because you don't. Walk into that building and say thank you to everybody in the building that works for your family, but go in
Nice.
there willing to learn and pay your dues before you finally become a boss of someone, because right now you're an employee. Last year during the summer break of school, my wife loaned me our middle kid for packing boxes. So it's kind of like a soccer team on loan, you know. I got the middle kid on loan from my father Cigars, and he packed boxes for us.
There's a trend
They're
here.
good kids, man.
Everybody
They're good
that comes in, you need people to pack boxes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm about to say, everybody you've talked to is like, and they pack boxes, and we get them to pack boxes.
Yeah, I don't know if I can convince the youngest though. He's still doesn't even understand reality. Like today, we were talking about the evolution of families, and like a great grandfather to grandfather to parents to grandkids, whatever. And I said, you would be technically first generation with money, because your parents didn't have any. They built something, and now you have money. That's why you don't abuse it. And I looked at his brother. I go, you're already second generation, because you have no clue what you want in life. He's kind of oblivious to everything. He's 16 years old. They're oblivious to everything. So I was like, yeah, you're second generation. He looks at what? And his older brother looked at me and goes, yeah, it's amazing how that works out. he totally got it. But yeah, I don't know if I can convince the youngest to come in to pack boxes. I did.
So-
I took a loan from him one time as a joke.
Oh wow!
Because like the kids get money from the grandparents. They, $50 here for Christmas, $100 here for their birthday, whatever. And one year he had like, I don't know, $700 saved up, the youngest, and he might have been like 9 years old. And I said, hey, do you mind if I take a loan from you? And he goes, and he looks at me and goes, what are you going to do with the money? I go, that's my business. And he goes, well, what are you going to do with it? I go, well, if you need to know, I'm going to buy more cigars from your granddad. He goes, well, do I get a piece of that? I go, no, that's not how a loan works. So I taught him how to understand how financing worked a little bit. But he was a pisser, because I finally gave him that money back plus interest, and good interest, by the way. But he still wanted a piece of the action. I go, that's not how this works, man. You're not investing in my company. You're giving me a personal loan. That's it. So yeah, I try to teach them less. I don't try to be their dad, because I'm not. I try to be their guide and some type of man figure, fatherly figure, in a sense of where they can kind of, first of all, they have to understand I'm the coolest guy in the room, so they can't fuck with me on that. The second part is, if they fuck with their mom, they have a huge problem with me. So those are the rules. Those are the two rules. But yeah, I try to give them a few fun little things and a few pointers here and there, and not try to bear down on them.
Yeah, I had a close friend that was in the exact same situation as you two, and I at his wedding I was his best man, and I told him that anybody can become a father, but it takes a real man to become a dad. You really just got to give him those moments.
Oh, trust me, and I did not want to become a dad.
Oh yeah, but obviously you're doing the right thing. Side note, I'm retiring from my federal career in like 5 years, so if you need someone to pack boxes, I'll be in touch.
What's your federal career, so I can ask?
I don't talk
The
about
first
it a
rule
whole
about
lot.
Fight Club is we don't talk about Fight Club.
Yeah,
You're one of those guys. You're a ghost.
I try not to. Yeah, I
Okay.
try not to. But there's a few people that know. But I'll hit you up offline.
You're good.
All right, so we did have. Let's see. JD wanted to know. He likes the story about the Conju. What is the story about the Conju? Cojonu. Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
Just say Cojonu.
Cojonu.
It's
See,
pretty.
I should have
phonetical,
Mick
actually, if you
pronounce
look
that
at it.
one.
You could say Cojonu, but Coho, because you remember the J as a
The J is an H.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cojonu. So we were sitting in Miami, and I said to Pepin, I said, I like where we're going with the Reservas. With the regular blend, but I want to do something with a little bit more amped up. And there was a cigar that he made the first night just to fuck with one of my friends, because my friend said, I want a strong cigar. I want a strong cigar. So Pepin made him like the strongest cigar he could come up with on the fly. And he joked about how it was like creating blue smoke. And if you looked at the cigar burning, you could see the smoke was like blue. And my buddy was like, we're like, how is it? He goes, it's pretty good, man. Like, this is really good. And next thing you know, he leaves. He's leaving. I go, where you going? He goes, dude, I got to go home and sit in my steam room and sweat this shit out, dude. Like, I feel like I got nicotine, like, poisoning or something. So I told Pepin, I said, I want to amp up the regular blend, but, not do it as crazy as the other one. Something in between. So Pepin sat down at the table and he put something together, and we were smoking. I go, wow, this is absolutely what I want. And it was literally like one touch of Lajero more. And Pepin said, este tabaco tiene Cojonu. And I said, wait, well, what is that word that he just said? And that means this cigar has balls. And I said, yeah, but what's the word? They're like Cojonu. And I'm like, is that the word? They're like, well, no, it's Cojonudo. But Cojonu is the way we Cuban people say it because it's slang for being ballsy. Like, this cigar is ballsy. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to call the cigar Cojonu. And they're like, no, you can't call it Cojonu. I'm like, why? And they're like, no, because it's a dirty word and people be offended by it. I go, nope, the cigar is called Cojonu. Like, that's the name of the cigar. And it became a joke because this is at the time they were on Southwest 8th Street in Little Havana. So any Cuban people that would walk in and see this band that said Cojonu, they would start pissing their pants laughing because they know the phrase. It stuck. For me, it was like anything that I did with that blend was Cojonu and ballsy. Like, you have balls and you know how to use them. It doesn't mean balls. It means ballsy.
All right.
So,
I like that.
Yeah, that's where it goes.
I mean, I would say that would be like the mantra, the kind of the thought behind everything that you've done with the brand is, you've stepped out and done a lot of stuff, everything from whether it's been the music career or finding, the Garcias or, becoming friends with the daughter or everything else. It took a little bit of balls to do all that. So,
yeah, the becoming friends with the daughter thing was a little risky because, again, I have a lot of respect for my father-in-law, a lot.
I would say he probably is a guy that deserves a lot of respect from everything that people say about him.
He's just one of those guys that just his knowledge of tobacco, and I mean, listen, he was not a saint when he was a kid either. But I still have a lot of respect for him. And it was always the question mark. It was like, I hope he doesn't get upset by this.
Right.
And ultimately, it ended up becoming one of these the questions we said this earlier. Is it going to affect the business relationship? Don't fuck up the business relationship. Right. And ultimately, it morphed into something better.
El Presidente wants to know, and I'm sure you get asked this a lot, is what kind of monsters do we have to look forward to? Are you adding any new monsters in or are we keeping with the same monsters as always?
No, so like the Boris Karloff thing, of course, he was the man of the monsters.
Oh yeah.
So that became from a licensing deal that I did with his daughter. But the other monsters, I kind of felt like those were the monsters. There's a lot of ideas for other monsters, and people have given me other ideas. One was the Invisible Man. I was going to ship an empty box to everybody.
That would have been fantastic. A box with a bunch of bands in it. That's the bands that are already like glued together. Here's your 20 bands.
Yeah, just floating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One was going to be like, no, do the Invisible Man, but put a hologram on the top of the box so it looks like it's empty. But when they open it, it's full.
Do a 9x90 and do the King Kong or something.
Yeah, exactly. All those came up. But like right now, we never did the creature as a full-fledged monster, but I have a creature project I'm working on. But now with the tariffs for the packaging in China, it might be on hold for a little bit. We'll see. I mean, I don't know what these people import these things at, so they could be making some crazy margin on what they're going to charge me for the product, but I have to revisit the packaging on that to see if it's absurd or not. But it was a cool concept that I had all worked out. There was going to be a big release, actually. The cigars are being worked on right now, but the creature came out for the first time in the Monster Mash as the 14th cigar. And then it came in the Monster Smash as the 14th blend in the box of all the same sizes. This would be a full-size version of the creature in a special packaging.
So
a package you could actually repurpose.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
So going in full circle, let's talk about anything that's new. We've gone from you growing up all the way
after
to
all this that's boring.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've enjoyed everything that we've done so far.
It's been amazing.
So, any experiences, whether it's with you and your bandmates, you guys looking back to get up and playing it again, anything interesting with you and the family, got some cool trips planned, anything good with the business going on over the next little bit? I know you just came back from PCA, so anything new?
Bandmates, the last time we got together for a show, we did a reunion show at the Viper Room in Los Angeles in 2009, and that was the last time that we did a show. We've been asked to do multiple shows at the Roxy and the Whiskey over the years, but ultimately timing didn't work for any of us. Plus, one time they asked us to do the show, they wanted us to open up at 7:30. I was like, hell no, we're better than an opening band. We used to headline the Sunset Strip. We don't open up at 7:30 anymore. So yeah, we just couldn't get together to play. But we're gonna hang out this summer, probably next month actually. Get together in June in Vegas to be dumb for 3 days, and then nice. Family. Luckily for me, I get to travel with my wife to events. So we have an event I have an event coming up in May at Capital Cigar in DC, or Bethesda, Maryland, actually. And then we go to Hawaii for a joint My Father Tatuaje event, which is always a big deal. They have a big crowd that comes out for that. June's pretty quiet right now. We have an event at Holtz in Philadelphia in June. And then in July, I'm going to be pretty grounded here, but I have a few trips. One buddy of mine got me tickets to see Oasis in London. So I got to go. Horrible thing.
You have to go. You have to go to it.
Yeah, he somehow has a connection with the management, and he was able to get me good tickets because it's impossible to get tickets to a show like that. Plus, I need to go over to London to start working with my new distributor that I have there. I changed distributors. I used to work with the same distributor that my father uses in London, but I decided to make a change for Tatuaje and break out to someone fresh and see where we can go from there. have a fairly good business in London with a buddy of mine who owns this store called Souter of London, or Souter, Desmond Souter's old store. He has 2 stores in London that kill it. Small stores, but they kill it. Aside from that, like Monsters are coming up in October, late September, early October. We have the Boris Karloff new version coming in November. We have the PC. I'm going to go further in the date. We have the PCA 2025 that won't be released until January 2026. We have the Corojo series of the T110, the Cojete, and the Avion 13 that's showing up somewhere July, August, I guess. Yeah, we have the.
So in other
right
words,
now
you're a
we're
little bit
shipping
busy.
the Faustos. Yeah, we're shipping 2 regular production Faustos right now. In about 3 to 4 weeks, or actually 4 to 5 weeks, we're shipping the new 7th Tuxla and 7th Corojo to go along with the whole series of the 7th size Corona Gorda. And then I have the pork tenderloin, the original pork tenderloin with broadleaf coming back out in about 2 weeks. So busy time. That's why we need more people packing boxes.
I'll be buying some of that.
Otherwise, I get my hands ready to tape boxes up.
Awesome. So I'm going to reach into your and Mick's world a little bit. I remember at one time I don't know if you have it going or if you're still thinking about it, but I know you were talking about putting together a wine. So did that ever get off the ground?
I did 5 vintages of wine in Bordeaux as a vanity project. It was truly just a way for me to experiment with blending and testing my palate and blending wines compared to blending cigars. So I did 5 vintages. Ultimately, I did 2 of the same wines I did every year. And then 1 year I added, I did a wine for my wife, for my father. She blended that with me. They did a wine for themselves. I convinced her to do a barrel for themselves to celebrate the #1 cigar when they got Flor de las Antillas. And then I did 2 additional wines, one for remembering all the dogs in my life and one for my family. So it was fun. It was a pet project. I sold some to my club members, the Saints and Sinners club members, but ultimately it was never really for sale. It was always meant for friends and family to drink and enjoy. It was never a business. It was purely a hobby, but it taught me a lot about the wine industry is not an easy thing to do. Taught me that the people that are in the wine industry are in it for generations, and I should probably stay in my lane. And
is there anywhere that you could ever get a bottle of this?
Through
As
me,
a wine lover.
yeah, through me.
Okay.
You just have to send me your address, and I'll send you a couple bottles.
I'll buy it from you, brother. Like I am a huge wine guy, man. Like I would love to try it.
I did a upside. So I did a traditional. So I did mostly right bank style. So Bordeaux, France, they have 2 banks, left bank and right bank. Right bank is Saint-Emilion and Pomerol area. They do more Merlot and Cabernet Franc. Very, very rarely do you find Cabernet Sauvignon on those vineyards, but it's there. So the wines I did were one kind of traditional wine. I did like a 70% Merlot and 30% Cabernet Franc, or maybe 80% Merlot and 20% Cabernet Franc. But then I did one other wine where I turned that blend completely upside down. And it actually says on the label, turning traditional upside down, where I did a heavy Cabernet Franc and light Merlot. Sometimes 80-20, 70-30, 75-25. And I call it encre, which means ink in French. I can never pronounce it correctly, but you have to eat the C and the R. Encre.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's called the Ankh. It's very grippy. Cabernet Franc has a lot of grip, so when you put it in your mouth, it locks you up. But like I remember going into that blending session for the first time, and I had a buddy of mine, actually a good friend of mine who works with me, Dan Welsh, who does surrogates.
I
I called him. I was in Bordeaux, sitting in a chateau, drinking a bottle of wine, and I sent him a message. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm just getting out of the movies." I go, "You want to get on a plane tomorrow?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "I'm going to have a ticket ready for you." And I had millions of miles from American Airlines, and I'm like, "I'm going to buy you a ticket. I'm going to get you all the way to Bordeaux. I'm going to pick you up at the Bordeaux airport. Just be ready to get on the plane tomorrow." And he got there, and we sat around. We started rolling around to different tastings at different chateaus that we knew people at, and we were doing research for my big tasting at this chateau I was going to blend wine. And I told him, he goes, what's your fear? And I go, my fear is I'm going to walk into this tasting, and they're going to try to sell me like horrible juice. And like, I'm highly opinionated when it comes to good cigars, and I'm highly opinionated when it comes to good wine. Yep. And good food and anything in life. For me, it's either you have taste or you don't. And when I put up, they served me a glass of Cabernet Franc solo from one vineyard, and I put it up to my nose, and I smelled it, and I started laughing. He goes, "What?" And I go, "This is good juice." Like I didn't even taste it. I just smelled it. I was like, "This is good juice."
Yeah.
And we had a fucking blast, and we sat there, and I blended, one vintage was 2010. And then they're like, "Well, we have the 2011s ready, if you want to do the 2011 blending." And I go, "I don't know." And Dan looks at me, he goes, "Oh, you should totally do that." And I'm like, "Yeah, maybe I should do 2011 also." And I literally did 4 wines in the first seating, and they all stick close to each other. Obviously, the regular Tatuaje tastes like the other Tatuaje, but the 1011s are similar, and the 1011 Ankhs are very similar. They just have a slightly different expression, obviously. But the 2 different wines, 2 different vintages. So I walked out of there with four wines. A lot of fun, but and I did that for 5 vintages. And I would, I don't own a vineyard. I don't own a chateau. I can only spend maybe 5 days out of the year getting to Bordeaux to do that stuff. So at the 5th vintage, I was like, I took my family there. The whole family was there when I blended the family wine. And ultimately, it was kind of like that moment. It was like, okay, I finally did this for the reason that I wanted to do it, which was really for family.
It's amazing.
And they called me the next year, like, "Hey, you want to do another vintage?" I go, "I'm going to take a break." I also realized I had like 5,000 bottles of wine, so I needed to do something with them.
So let me say, though, please know that we never do this for any kind of handouts. We buy all the cigars we smoke. We buy all the booze we drink.
100%.
Everything that we do, we do for us. But like, if
You're good, man. It's meant to be shared, dude.
If I could get my hands on a bottle of your wine, smoking one of your cigars, it might be like top 10, man. That's fucking amazing. That would be amazing.
Better yet, I would rather do it with you.
Oh,
yeah,
that's fuck.
See,
where do you live? So you don't have to tell me exactly, but where do you live?
We both live in Tennessee. I'm in the furthest west part of the state. He's in the furthest east part of the state.
So west would be like what
Memphis.
area?
Memphis.
He's in Memphis.
Oh.
I'm outside Knoxville.
Okay, so you're not. Well, okay. So how far is that from Ole Miss in Mississippi?
I'm about 3 hours from Ole Miss.
So
I'm probably about 7.
Yeah, you're a long drive.
So I was gonna say exactly what you just said was, as somebody who is trying to get into wine, my wife is into wine, just like Mick said, it would be something that both of us would love to, purchase a bottle.
No, they're
But
not for
if
sale.
if we were going to smoke one of your cigars with you, what would you pair that with? Because that would be really cool to get you on here, enjoy that,
It's
and then
dude,
he's shaking his head.
I-
What cigar
I
would you put with it?
like I'll give you a good example. I didn't blend these to pair with wines. I blended them as good wines.
Okay.
Like I like wine
that.
and cigars, but I didn't go into it thinking, "Oh, this is going to pair well with one of my cigars." I
But you've
wanted
got to
go
have
in
an
there
idea
blending
of
the best
your cigars that
possible
you've
wine.
been. You've got to have an idea with the cigars that you smoke through your line that you like this cigar
Well,
with that one.
Okay, ultimately, if I had to dig back into one of my chests to find some old La Verités, I used to go to Bordeaux with my La Verité project and sit in that same chateau and smoke one of my new La Verités while I was drinking one of the new wines.
Nice.
But it was never paired to be that way.
Gotcha.
It would just happen to be that was the moment in time. But like right now, I'm drinking this Tempranillo from Spain, and I went from a dark Sumatra to a dark Habano, which give you different characters, but I still like drinking wine with both of them.
Absolutely.
Again, I go into making good cigars, not good cigars that pair with food or wine. And with the wine, I went into making what I thought was a great wine. With any wine drinker could drink it, and anybody who likes to smoke cigars might go, "Well, that's a good pairing," but I didn't pair it.
Nice. So, towards the end of the episode, one thing that we like to do is what we call hotbox questions, and we took it from the idea of hotboxing. So, it's 10 random questions that we get to ask you. You can go in depth with them as much as you want. Some of them are a little off the wall. Some of them are pretty good. Mix are always off the wall. Just saying. But are you game to play hotbox questions real quick?
Oh, dude, you obviously heard me tell you everything about my life. So
Awesome.
I mean, there's some really bad stories that should never be repeated, which I choose not to talk about.
I have a feeling we can get into some more stories on a part 2 episode.
Again, my bandmates and I were a bunch of heathens, so they should never be repeated.
That's funny.
We had a lot of fun, just dumb. But nowadays, we've all realized that we should probably pay some penance.
All right, so before we jump into hotbox questions, let's run this.
Hey guys, listen up. Give your beard the VIP treatment it deserves with Beard Apothecary. They are a small business on a big mission, crafting top-tier beard care products made by hand in small batches for ultimate freshness and care. A healthy, well-groomed beard isn't just a look, it's a lifestyle. That's why they use only the finest premium butters and oils to deeply nourish your beard and skin. No more dryness, irritation, or those dreaded split ends. Your beard will be living its best life, soft, manageable, and downright irresistible. At Beard Apothecary, they believe in the power of natural ingredients and serious pampering. Why settle for basic when your beard can be freaking legendary? Check them out at beardapothecary.com or on Instagram at beard_apothecary. Your beard will thank you.
Okay, I gotta ask before you get into the rapid fire. Yeah. I have to ask, Beard Apothecary, who is it, and do they only do beard stuff? And
no.
What are their ingredients? Because I'm really into
Beard Apothecary is started by John Aldi's wife. You can find him at was it Chubby Beard or
Living the Bearded Chubby Life.
Living the Bearded Chubby Life. I don't.
Can you list some of his ingredients in his beard balm or whatever that is in that jar?
Everything in there is all natural. There's no chemicals. It's all natural. It's all from essential oils. His wife does beard wash, car diffusers, beard oil, beard balms, everything.
It's the best
and
shit
it got,
in the market.
Yeah, she started putting together things like this for people that was just in, some of our cigar clubs. And she started with making candles, and then everybody started loving the scent. And she started researching how to make it into beard balms and things like that. And she went the route of doing everything that is all natural. And Mick and I both, Mick and I both use it. So we'll Mick or I will send you the link to their Instagram.
No, I have a very please send me the link. I have a very I'm really into using beef tallow for a lot of shit.
Yeah,
castor oil,
Yep.
shit like that. I use beef tallow on my skin, and it's amazing shit. I use fucking beef tallow on my hair, so when I hear about companies doing natural ingredients and making them in the United States, I love it.
She does everything like out of her house, so it's all natural. Oh yeah, it's great stuff. I'm 100%. I'm Irish and Scottish, so my skin is very sensitive to anything that's not natural. So the fact that I was able to use, their product and I use it every day, so it's great freaking shit.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, so Mick, you always start off everything with the first question. Question number 1.
All right. So this one always starts it off weirdly. What is your least favorite sound?
My least favorite sound.
Yeah.
Maybe like when I hear a chihuahua bark.
That's phenomenal. We've gotten everything from like dogs puking to nails on the chalkboard, but that works.
Well,
too,
okay,
man. I like it.
So dogs puking. Like, what's the one thing that pet owners or dog owners they can be snoring dead asleep? The only thing they hear is the dog vomiting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big fan of when I'm a bass player, but I'm not a big fan when the subwoofers start making everything in the house shake. I can't stand it. Something's off in the balance. So yeah, that's more annoying than least favorite.
All right. So question number 2, fill in the blank for me. For me, cigars is all about what?
The people.
Yeah, you can't get it.
And it's not my quote, actually. That was a quote from Berta Bravo, who was called the Guayabera Lady. And I know that Carlito Fuente adopted that saying also, but I'm not sure. Maybe he told her the saying, she adopted it. But anyway, yeah, the cigars are about the people and the stories.
Community stories, the time. Yeah, absolutely. Everything. All right. So question number 3. This should be fun. What is your favorite band or artist?
Oh. No, you mean artist like an artist in art or band?
No. Like band, like
musical artist.
Musical
artist. I could tell you one of my favorite artists would be Marc Chagall. That would be if you're a art history person, Marc Chagall was a great artist. But anyway, for music, I don't know, man. I'm all over the place with music. I grew up listening to things like Mozart and Beethoven and Bach in the house. My mom she'd play that while we were eating dinner. And then ultimately, my parents took me to my first concert, which was a Judy Collins concert. I'm a rock and roll guy. If someone says I can only listen to Guns N' Roses, I would listen to Guns N' Roses. But I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
Duran, Guns N' Roses, Oasis, there's no rhyme or reason of what ties those bands together. Just, I like good things. And I believe that music's either good or it's not. Kind of like a cigar is either good or it's not. There's really not an in-between thing for me.
I love it. That's awesome, man.
All right, so question number 4. What is your favorite guilty pleasure?
Sitting in this exact chair, doing nothing, maybe sipping on a glass of something and smoking a cigar and just thinking to myself. Is that a guilty pleasure? I don't know. I do that a lot, but yeah, I don't have many guilty pleasures. Yeah, I don't know. That's a weird one for me.
You're not a 2 a.m. got to go get some ice cream kind of, or
No, I'm more of a 2 a.m. I can't sleep. Let me figure out how to go back to sleep.
I get that.
Oh, I
All right.
will say that my guilty pleasure right now is that there's a place called Steak and Shake, and they do all their French fries in beef tallow.
And they are so good.
They're so good.
It's
And
fucking
honestly, their burgers are really good. They're like smash burgers. So every Sunday we drive a little bit to go get a burger and fries.
my
And I'm
daughter
not
actually
really traditionally a burger and fry guy.
my daughter actually had that in her college campus, and I had it for the first time, and I'm like, this is outstanding. Like it was really good fast food. All right.
Yeah, so fast food could be a guilty pleasure because I don't traditionally eat it all the time.
Hell yeah. All right. So question number 5, and I always preface this by saying this is one where Matt Booth called me an asshole and many other names. Is cereal a soup?
Oh, dude. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's a soup for kids. You eat it with a spoon. You always like, I don't know about you, but like when I'm eating like a chicken noodle soup, I go for the noodles, the chicken, and whatever the carrots and maybe the potatoes that are in there first, and then I drink the broth, and that's what we would do with cereal. We would drink the broth of the cereal. So
you're my hero. I'm winning.
I would say I never thought of that before, but I would say I guess it is soup for kids.
Yes, you win. I love it. That's awesome.
All right. So question number 6, what is the one thing in your life that you're most proud of?
Family. Yeah, absolutely. None of the other shit matters.
Man, that's beautiful. That's exactly what we say on a daily basis. So awesome. All right. So if you could choose a superpower, what would it be and why?
I've been asked this question. I think I answer it differently every time. I don't know. Flying just always seems kind of fun. But reading people's minds, I think you ever seen that movie, What Women Want with Mel Gibson?
Yes.
Where you can hear all the women's thoughts. I would love to know. I would love to be able to speak to dogs.
That would be awesome.
I think because I'm a dog guy, and I would love to know if my dog really likes the food that I feed her. And she eats raw, so like I want to make sure, does she really like it, or is she just eating it because I'm not feeding her anything else?
So question number 8, if you could go back in time and relive any of the experiences, whether it was in the music industry or in the cigar industry, what is one experience that you would like to relive? Whether it was good, whether it was bad, it taught you something. What's an experience that you would like to relive?
I would always like to relive. If I had to go back in time, I'd like to relive the old days on the Sunset Strip. There were a lot of things I missed out on, and a lot of things I just were foggy. So it'd be nice to like revisit them, and have a better head on my shoulder. That's probably one of the main ones. There were moments in the cigar industry, though. I would love to go back in time and sit at tables where I sat and talked to the greatest people in our industry, and miss those conversations because they're no longer here. So yeah, it'd be great to maybe take more notes with those guys.
It's a great answer. Yeah. All right. So my last question of the night, and this kind of ties into what you just said. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Dude, I don't know what it is, but every time I answer this, I say Nancy Reagan.
Oh, I got to hear this. Nancy Reagan.
I think I heard Johnny Depp say it one time, and I thought about it. I was like, that would actually be kind of interesting to sit down with Nancy Reagan. But any political figure, I think to kind of understand what's in their mind and why they do things and why they're in the position that they're in. Just to kind of understand what people's motivation is. But in the Nancy Reagan thing, like, I don't know if I could sit in a room with Ronald Reagan, but Nancy Reagan, she just had a spirit to her. So I liked it and I kept it. It's a weird one.
I like it.
That's good.
But honestly, if I really could do it, I wish I could have one more day with Dad. That's it. Right now.
That's touching, man. That's awesome. I feel that 100%.
Yeah, I get that too. I lost my mom on Christmas and Mother's Day coming up, and that's hitting really hard right now.
This past Christmas?
Yeah, Dad
was just Thanksgiving.
Yeah, she fell ill the week after my birthday, and she came out of the hospital, and she was living with her sister, and called her sister to come pick her up, and they did a wellness check, and her sister had passed while she was in the hospital. Nobody knew about it. So my brother and I went and got her, and 2 days later she collapsed and fell ill, and come to find out she had some kind of cancer, just tumors that she had 10 days later when they gave her a scan, she had hundreds. And the doctor looked at her, and she asked the doctor, said, "How long do you think I have?" He said 4 weeks. She lasted 4 weeks and 1 day. I walked into her hospice room on Christmas morning and said, "Good morning, Mom. Happy Merry Christmas." And I looked over, and she inhaled, exhaled, and she was gone.
Oh.
So,
dude, I hate talking about it now because with Dad on Thanksgiving, it was Thanksgiving morning, and I slept next to him in a chair, and woke up, and I said, "Hey, Dad," and he looked up at me and he smiled, and then later that afternoon he passed.
My mom the night before,
he was truly waiting, waiting for all of us to be there, because I had showed up the night before.
The last 2 days, she was pretty much non-responsive. Couldn't talk, couldn't put any words together, but she would come in and out where she was looking with her eyes, and they went to give her some medicine the night before she passed, and she choked on it. And the orderly was a new person and had no clue what to do. So I was pulling her up, and we were trying to clear her throat.
Yeah.
And she was choking, and she opened her eyes and looked at me. I'm bawling my eyes out, and we finally get it clear, and he walks out, and I'm crying, and she looks at me and just goes, "Why?" I said, "Because I thought I lost you." And she looked at me and said, "I love you." And I started crying even harder. And she said, "Why?" I said, "You haven't told me you love me in days." And she laid down, went to sleep, and I remember thinking I need to stay tonight.
Yeah.
But it was Christmas Eve, so I wanted to get to my kids, and walked in, and the nurse met me at the outside and said, "Hey, your mom's not doing really well. I'll come in and talk to you in a minute." And I walked in and said that, and the nurse came in behind me, and I looked at her and said, "Mom gone." And she's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "I just watched her leave."
Yeah, the same, absolutely the same.
So,
I have. We had a Ring camera on Dad during the last day, just to keep an eye on him, because if I was asleep, my sister would watch him from her house or whatever. And I remember there was a lot of commotion going on Thanksgiving. Everybody was in the house, like everybody, the kids, the grandkids, whatever, were in the house. And he was just sitting there in his bed with his arms like this and looking around, like taking it all in. It was just watching everybody. So it was like his last moment, of like,
right.
I'm just capturing that little bit.
Right.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Gorgeous. So, last
You're not
question.
supposed to make people cry on this show.
Yeah, we're really fucking this up tonight, and this is not me trying to beat anyone's story, because they're all very touching. And but my mom her health hasn't been great for a while now, but my daughter just called and said, "Yeah, Graham just told me that mom's waiting to see you in 2 weeks before she lets go." And
Wow,
that's been fucking painful. So here we
Yeah.
are. So let's go on with this story tonight. That's
Yeah,
All right,
let's-
so
Next.
question.
final question.
Next
Question number
Yeah.
10. And I hate to get deep again.
Ah,
What
shit.
is the best piece of advice you have ever been given?
That's tough, man.
Yeah.
I think the best, and it's not really any rhyme or reason where I got it from. It's just don't be afraid of taking risk. And there was a lot of times in my life where I was always scared of jumping over a cliff. And ultimately, when I started jumping over cliffs, my business and my career grew, but I lost a lot of the family at the same time because I was so focused on the building this career that I lost touch with really what brought me to this earth. But it was always like, just take risks in what you do. And if you make a mistake, don't beat yourself don't beat yourself up over it. I constantly beat myself up over stupid decisions. But luckily I have good support around me that tell me it's not that bad. It just doesn't mean anything. So just move on in life and try to do better.
Well, Lou put on here the day before his dad passed, he was happy to see everyone just taking it all in. Went to sleep that night, passed away the next day peacefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the thing is, it's always it's hard to see them go, but it's nice if it's peacefully. So
Yeah. It's not an image I want to see again.
Nope, 100%. But it's an image that will last with you.
Yeah. You know, when you look at, Dad was 79. I don't know how old your mom was, but I didn't think that was old. Like, I just was like, I kind of fought with it. Like, this shouldn't be happening. Like, this is not old to me.
She would have turned 80 this year.
Yeah, same with Dad. 1944, right?
Yeah, 45.
Yeah. Oh, 45. Okay. So Dad was Dad actually sorry, Dad passed I was born on my dad's birthday.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
Dad passed 2 weeks before his birthday. His 80th birthday. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Take it how it comes. Just don't forget it. That's why I do everything about my dogs in my cigar brand. All of my dogs have a cigar. Like, every dog that's passed has a cigar. My brother lost his dog. That dog has a cigar. Dan lost one of his dogs. That dog.
How many
dog
cigars do you have that's named after your dogs?
Well, okay. So Hunter, which was the original Cazador series, which Cazador in Spanish means hunter. So the original 6 sizes spell out hunter. Then wow. Havana. So the Havana 6, the original 6 sizes of Havana 6 spell out Havana. Then Cuba, which he got the tattoo line, so everything spells out Cuba. The first 4 sizes. And then Arnold, we did Kona got a K222. So if you see Kona, the K222, he passed at 2:22 p.m. So 222 became like a number for me, and it's come to find out an angel number, so it follows me.
It is.
I look at my phone. It's 222.
222 and 444.
I wake up at 2:22 a.m. all the time. I feel like someone's tapping me, and I wake up and I look at my clock, and it's 2:22 a.m. Stuff like that. So he has one cigar, and then Arnold was a big Rottie. They're all Rottweilers. He got the Arnold the Series A in the Grand Cojonu Series A, which is a short, fat 60 ring gauge, and then Loki which was our puppy. We have Luna, his sister still, but Loki passed at 14 weeks from a genetic disorder, and so we lost him as a puppy, and so I made a really tiny cigar called Cojonu 2003 Series L. And I priced it at some outrageous price point. And people were like, "You want to sell this?" I go, "No, I don't care to sell it. I made it for a reason. If someone wants to pay that price point, they can pay the price point. But it's made for me to smoke." So that's become a really special cigar for me. I'm hoping I don't have to make Luna a cigar for a long period of time. And then Casey had Roxy. Then you got the Atelier Roxy. And then Dan had Kenji, which... we did a Surrogates AKC, which is in very few retailers around the country. It's a Kenji cigar. Instead of like AKC, it wasn't a purebred, so we made the play on AKC, but it's a Kenji cigar. So anytime a pet in our life passes, we do a cigar for it. That way we keep them in our hearts.
That's
so
awesome.
you'll see a Pete Senior cigar soon, by the way.
That is awesome, man.
Yeah, because we made stickers one year where Pete Senior has a posse. You know, like the old sticker with Andre the Giant on it. We did a Pete Senior sticker. Right. So my dad used to go around the trade show passing them out, and people were like, "Oh, give me this." You know, they thought he was like some celebrity. It was awesome. You know, so you'll see a Pete Senior cigar coming out soon.
All right, so I have a final request. We've got to do a part 2 of this one, and I mean, I told you when we were talking before, we do a lot less of wrapper binder filler. I don't know how you feel about that one. We really didn't talk about cigars and blends. We just talked about you and whatever stories we could come up with and share life over a cigar. So that's kind of the way we rock things here.
I'm a cigar maker, brand owner. I mean, it's my life. It's been my life for 32 years out of my 54 years. I going on 55. I appreciate just the general conversation about whatever. Talk about this, I'm like the worst salesman in the world. I don't really like talking about cigars because it feels like it's so repetitive and like used car salesman in a sense that. Like, there's enough information out there. You can find the information. If you want to know it real quick, I'll tell you. But I would just rather get to know people. So I appreciate this conversation.
I understand that, and I'm speaking for Mick, but I know there's brands that we've had on here before that, and there's brands that we have coming up that we fully know that they could care less about talking about themselves. They just want to sell. Yeah. And they pretty much, if we're not talking about wrapper binder filler, what their price point is and all that, they pretty much give us short answers. So the fact that you enjoy coming on and just being you, that's amazing. So awesome. I would love to do this again and just do, man. I'd just love to talk more, life stories and over a bottle of wine and a cigar and just chill out. So if you're game for that one, we would love to try to get you on. I'm totally game.
I don't know what more I can tell you, but I'm totally game for it.
Oh, we'll pull it out of you. I promise.
It don't have to be life stories, your story. It could be what football game's going on, what you've got going on, what you experience, what you and the kids did over the weekend.
I'm highly opinionated on a bunch of shit. So yeah, there you go.
I'm all game for that one. So is there anything that we didn't touch on that you want to let everybody know? I'm pretty sure that everybody in the world already knows how to find you on Instagram and social media and all that stuff. But let everybody know how they can find you and all that good stuff, all that work stuff.
Just in case, Tatuaje Inc. So Tatuaje Inc. is my personal page. I don't do a lot on it. If you want to get me directly, that's the easiest one. And I will answer and I will like your post. But when it comes to the marketing part, I actually have a guy in my office that does Tatuaje Cigars, and he's the one that reposts all the pictures. So if you want to get your picture reposted, send it to @Tatuaje Cigars, we're more than happy to do it. Plus, we need content all the time. But if you want to get in touch with me, Tatuaje Inc., or if you really want to get in touch with me, the best way is promo at TatuajeCigars.com. The only reason why I use promo at Tatuaje Cigars is because I'm the only one that looks at that email address. My regular email address, Pete at Tatuaje Cigars, became like the sales email address, and I have multiple employees that look at that email address, so it's sometimes I miss a lot of shit. So if you want to get me directly, Tatuaje Inc. or promo at Tatuaje Cigars.
Awesome. So
yeah, don't be surprised if I answer just from Tatuaje. If it's coming from promo, it's actually me writing. And sometimes I'll answer as Pete and believe that it's actually me because it is me. So
okay, that'll work. So I want to thank you for jumping on here with us. I know we had a couple of our people on here. We don't ever go this long. We make a joke that we try to keep everything hour 45 minutes, and we'll creep in. Our soft spot, our sweet spot is about that 2 hour 10-minute. And we had a couple of our watchers or viewers on here said, okay, another 3 hour night. And we usually don't go this late, but it's one of those things where if just like you said,
dude, I'm a talker. I'm a storyteller. So
that's what we like. And that's what we keep going for. So that's why I said we got to do a part 2. So I appreciate you jumping on here and being a part of this. And
I love it.
Just being you and not, and just not trying to be something that's not you, because it's refreshing to find real people.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. No, we appreciate it. I just want to say thank you. I've been a fan forever, man. I love what you're putting out, and it's always something that keeps me interested in this industry, and just meeting you personally is fucking phenomenal, man. And I'll definitely be emailing you here. I appreciate everything you do for the industry and for coming on this show and spending a little time with us, man. It's been amazing.
Yeah, anytime, man. Again, real quick, if anybody ever has like a problem with the product, because I always like to say this, if someone has a problem with the product, reach out to me at Tatuaje Cigars. Promo at TatuajeCigars.com or Tatuaje Inc. directly. Take the time to reach out to the owner of the company if you have a question or a comment or a criticism about the cigar. Don't take the knee-jerk reaction and automatically post something bad on the internet, because something could be construed so badly just from a bad post, or one wrong post. Like I had a critic recently complain about when they cut the cigar, the cigar cracked, and they said it was dry. I go, dude, there's no fucking way that a cigar came from my warehouse dry. These things are babies to me, and I treat them the same like I would treat a kid or my dog. Like, they truly are part of me. And if that experience came through to you, you should have reached out to me and said, hey, I bought them from this place and they were dry. I would have said, please just don't post a picture of the cracked head. And what did they do? They posted a picture of the cracked head. I'm like, it's just the wrong way to look at things. Reach out to the owners of these companies, because a lot of times a lot of us owners are really personable, and we want to know what we could do better, or what we need to fix, or what we need to check in production. Don't just do the knee-jerk reaction and post a bad picture on the internet, said you had a horrible experience. And that goes for any brand of cigars you're smoking. Take the time to reach out to the people that are making them before you post something bad on the internet. That's it.
I 100% agree with that.
I'll step on my soapbox with that one.
No, 100% agree.
I love all the comments, but I'm not reading them fast enough. But
I'm just putting them up there to let people know that I'm not trying to pass them by. So we appreciate everybody that is posting comments. But you have a lot of people who, that absolutely love what you put out, love what you're doing. Mitch says, well, if it'll pull up here, Mitch says he is real people. El Presidente says Tatuaje forever. The only problem that Jordan has is that all your cigars are too good, and he spends way too damn much money on it.
I can't take all the credit, man. The factory, I have to pay a lot of respect to the factory because I don't sit down and roll these cigars every day. These are made by skilled people that take a lot of heart and care into creating things that we get to smoke. So please pay praise to the rollers and all the employees in both in all 4 factories that the Garcias have.
Robert says, hell, even the Series P is great. And Lou is going to finish with a comment that says, 100% agree. Glad to connect with everyone who has less than great experiences with a cigar.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that's important is that there are so many people in so many places that touch every cigar that you enjoy in smoking. And any company that's worth the grain of salt that, they are making sure that those cigars are leaving their factory and their warehouses in the best possible shape that they can be. And what happens once they leave those warehouses, there's no telling what happens. So, I mean, you can't blame it on
it's a hard variable to control for sure.
Well, thanks so much for jumping on here, man. I'll let you get back to the rest of your evening. Again,
well, I got this little nub and I have an empty glass, so it's actually perfect timing.
Perfect timing. I have a little bit left on mine. I just went with the Room 101 Habano. So finishing that one up, and we have a little bit of things left to do. We have a cigar review to do. We have some prizes to give away. And a little bit of news and meanwhile in Memphis. So we have about 4 segments left before we call it an evening. So we'll let you get on with yours, and we will hopefully be able to get you back on here for a part 2 or a part 2.
Real quick, another shout out to Norman and Miguel at Cigar Vault. Thank you for sponsoring your show. Thanks for the support for the Tatuaje brand. Dude, yeah, I'm up for the next one. So just tell me when, and
Brother,
send me your addresses so I can send you some things for. Maybe you need some prizes for your group.
So
we would love to.
Mick will be all over that. I'll send you that out tonight, brother. Dude, we could say thank you more, man. It was a pleasure meeting you, and you
awesome.
were fucking amazing.
I hope you get John Huber on. You'll have a great time with him.
We will.
We will definitely do that.
You already broke the barrier with Tim, so you're good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right.
Thank you, brother.
We'll talk to you next time, man.
Guys. Thank you. I appreciate everything.
Yep. Thank you.
Take care.
And yes, Jordan, we and everybody else, we know we are 3 hours and 12 minutes into this one. Holy shit. Oh my God.
It was awesome.
Do you have the feeling that this podcast could have gone about another 2 hours?
I do, but I have no regrets, man. It was fucking amazing. It was
no regrets. No regrets.
It was unbelievable. It was great. But
so I will say this: we've been averaging anywhere from 25 to 35 people constantly, which is it's not a lot of people. I mean, we hope that we have it, more people, and there's a lot of other shows that have a lot of people on here. But we currently, after 3 hours, still have right around 30 people who are hanging out with us. And damn, you guys are just freaking fantastic. So we do have a couple of things to do. We have our cigar review to do. We have 2 prizes to give away, a $25 gift card to Cigar Vault, as well as this pack of cigars right here from Rebellion Cigars. They have their 2 new cigars, the Screaming Skull and the Beast. So we'll be giving that away. We do have a couple of rules for that one. We do have cigar news, only one story tonight, and then we have Meanwhile in Memphis. So we've got that. If you're willing to stick with us, we appreciate you. We're going to try to get this finished up and buttoned up really quickly. So yeah,
how quick can we be? Can we make it a 4-hour show, or can we do it in 3:30?
No. Well, see, the bad thing is I had to delete some episodes off this account because it was already full, and I think we probably have no more than 20 minutes before it stops recording. So We actually do have a little bit of a time crunch because I don't know if it can go past that. I'm going to have to delete a shit ton of more episodes just to get some stuff in here. So
All right.
we do have some prizes, a cigar review to do, and that one is done by our family over at Cigar Army.
Tonight's
Take it away.
Cigar Review is proudly sponsored by Cigar Army. The Cigar Army is a community brought together by their shared love of cigars, but bonded by something much deeper, their mission to give back to those in need. Through Operation Give Back, they honor the courage and dedication of our military and first responders, both active and retired. Their bravery and selflessness make the freedoms we enjoy possible, including this very moment to sit here, share a cigar, and connect with our Real Smoke audience. Every puff carries a story. Every draw is a tribute to their sacrifices. This isn't just about cigars, it's about gratitude, about compassion, and about giving back to the heroes who shaped our lives. Join them in the mission to make a difference, one cigar at a time. Check them out on Instagram at Cigar Army 3 or search Cigar Army on Facebook. Together, we can turn our passion into purpose.
And thank you so much to everybody over at Cigar Army for all that you guys do for the cigar industry, as well as everything that you guys do for us. We greatly appreciate it. And so let's go ahead and start this off with Mick's review.
All right, so I'm going to try to power read this. So aroma from the body, hay and natural sweetness. Aroma from the foot, light barnyard, natural sweetness. It was a closed foot, so I kind of got the same aromas off the body. Taste from the cold draw. I got which the cold draw was also a little tight because of the closed foot, but I got a fudge, a little bit of cocoa, so kind of the same thing. Fig and a little bit of pepper. First third notes, I got some cedar, black pepper, fudge, mocha, which again are kind of the same thing. Bready. Maybe rye bread. It was definitely bready, though. Retro, I got a little bit of peanuts and black pepper. The second, third notes, I got leather, espresso, a little bit of baking spices. Hay, again, that breadiness was there. And retro, I got nutmeg and black pepper and a touch of leather. Final third notes, I got espresso, leather, peanuts, cinnamon. And the retro, I got black pepper and leather again. Pre-let experience, 18 out of 20. Flavor enjoyment, 14 out of 15. Construction characteristics, 28 out of 30. And smoke production and final thoughts, 31 out of 35. 91.
Awesome. 91. All right. Okie dokie. So let's get into mine really quickly, and I'll try to do the same power read. Aroma off the body. Hey, musty barnyard. Aroma off the foot, closed foot, so not much to go off of. Slight tobacco sweetness. Taste off the cold draw. Tobacco. Fig Newton. You said fig. I said Fig Newton. Kind of cool. First third notes on the light. Earthy, gritty black pepper that hits the back of the throat. A little bit of mineral. Retro is a strong black pepper and mineral. Into the first notes up front is earth, cinnamon, a mineral, slight cedar, and a hint of dark chocolate. The retro starts off with a strong black pepper that softens out towards the end of the third. Mineral and floral notes back up the pepper. Draw is good. Burn is good. Tight ash. Finishes long. Leaves a slight salty taste on the lips and a little bit of cinnamon tingle on the tongue. Smoke is thick, but drying. Strength is a medium. Into the second third, notes up front are rich earth, oak, walnut, and black coffee. The retro is earth, white pepper, woody, coffee, and a slight floral sweetness. Draw is still good, burned, sharp, with no issues. Ash is thick and tight, holds through each third. Smoke is thick and still a little dry. Finish is long and leaving a floral and slight sweet mineral notes. Strength is about a medium plus. In the final third, notes up front is a charred oak, black coffee, earth, and cedar sweetness. The retro is oak, coffee, and floral cedar. Ash and burn is still fantastic. Smoke is thick and less drying. Finish is still the same. Strength is a full minus. The only issues I had with this cigar was that I did not like the way that it kept drying out my palate. I think I drank more water with these cigars than I have in even the one that I smoked tonight. Usually I do not drink, what I'm drinking tonight as much as what I have been, but I still got that drying note on the palate. Pre-light experiences, appearance, and aroma. I gave it an 18 out of 20. Flavor enjoyment, gave it a 12 out of 15. Construction, I gave it a 10 out of 10. Draw, a 10 out of 10. And burn, 10 out of 10. Perfect score, 30 out of 30 on the construction. Smoke production and final thoughts. Smoke production and texture, gave it a 4 out of 5 just because it was the drying part of it. Overall experience, an 18 out of 20. Would I smoke this again? I gave it a 8 out of 10. Gave it a 30 out of 35. So my score became a 90 with your 91, or with your 91 and my 90, that averages out to a 90.5. We always round up. We give the runner his due. This one gets a 91 from the Real Smoke Podcast. So the 2025 Karloff from Tatuaje Cigars gets a 91. So good job. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was a great smoke. That second and third were both amazing. The first third, I was like, I'm just not sure yet, but it ramped up as it went. It was a good transition. Great smoke, man.
All righty. So, I will say this. I did say that there was a couple of rules with this giveaway. We do have 3 gifts that we are giving away over the next couple of weeks from Rebellion. Last week, we gave away a cutter and a lighter. This week, we're giving away 2 cigars. They're 2 new cigars that they're putting out. And the next time that we give one away, it'll be the cutter and lighter as well. We have taken out all the restrictions, so in case your name gets drawn again. But if you are somebody who has won it, basically, if you are Mitch and you won the cutter and lighter, you cannot win the cigars or the cutter and lighter next time. We did make a promise that we would try to get these products into 3 different hands. So we did take off the restrictions that if your name gets pulled, that it will be in here again. Now, if by chance your name gets pulled twice tonight in a row for prizes, you can only win something once tonight. Sorry about the rules and all that stuff, but we're trying to make it fair for everybody. Let's see. Also, if you don't see your name on here, I am sorry about that. Not our tool, not our game, not our monkeys, not our show. We do all that we can to put it in here. So if for some reason you didn't see it, it is glitchy and it doesn't show all of them, but StreamYard does guarantee that all the names have been put in there and the names will be pulled. You have to be live to win, as well as you have to let us know that you are in here to win. We'll give you roughly about 30 seconds. There is no stopwatch, but we will give you about a 10-second countdown. If for some reason we don't see your name and it doesn't pop up on ours, we cannot control what your YouTube versus our YouTube does. We do apologize for that one. With all that stuff said, let's give away a $25 gift card to the Cigar Vault, Oakdale. Make sure you got your hashtag Real Smoke in here. Dan says he's here. It doesn't matter, Dan. You haven't won anything yet, but let's try this one. So, hashtag Real Smoke. It does show it is for this episode. I have marked off here that it excludes winners from multiple drawings, so we will give everybody a chance to win. Let's start collecting some names. I will actually refresh this one just one more time. Yay me. Computer's running slow because it's even saying, dang, it's been too long. Let's go ahead and choose the live stream. It is the Pete Johnson. Hashtag Real Smoke.
Your computer's even
I
giving
can't
up,
spell,
bro.
just like Mick can't read.
Thank you. Yes, correct.
All right, here we go.
Man,
There. It should be rolling right now. So $25 gift card goes to Debbie. Little Debbie. Oh my God, you're on here. I just want you to say that you're on here and say that you're going to give it to someone else, but I know you won't. But Let's just see if Debbie's on here. Debbie, you got about 30 seconds, so make sure you put on here that you are here before I write your lovely name down. So I will say this. We talk after every episode about little Debbie is here. Devin is here. We talk every episode about how much we like the episode that we did. I absolutely love this one. This is probably in my top 2 of favorite episodes that we had. Congratulations, Devin. So let's give away one more thing. Here it goes. This one is for the Beast and the Screaming Skull from Rebellion Cigars. Robert Courtner, you win that one.
If you stuck around for 4 hours,
Dun, 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 dun,
that's awesome.
Yep. I am trying to get through this stuff as quickly as possible because I know we're about to lose all of our recording, and I would love for it to stay on here. Robert says he is here. So Robert is here. Congratulations. Devin, you win the $25 gift card from Cigar Vault. And Robert, you have the Rebellion Cigars. Send me all your information, name and address and all that stuff. I'll mail that out sometime in the next week. All right, so all that's written down. Congratulations. Thanks for everybody for hanging out with us. We do have some Cigar Vault is going to love me, says Devin. No joke, and they're going to hate us. Guys, do us a favor. We really need your help. We have 2 different things that if you guys are interested, if you guys are going to the Cigar Vault, go in there. If you buy from them, make sure that you are using our our code, because that is pretty much what keeps them being a sponsor. So we would love for you guys to go there. And if you do not belong to a Cigar of the Month club, go check out Smoke In Cigar of the Month Club. Go sign up with them. It's 5 cigars, $34.95. Great deal. And if you go look out what the cigars that they've been bringing out, they are knocking out some fantastic cigars. So go join in with them and go do that. So help us out. Go do both of those. And if you use our code on that one, you get a cutter and a lighter to come with it for free. But we do need you to use our code.
And it helps us out. Yeah.
It really does help us out, because if our sponsors aren't liking us, we don't get sponsored. So, yeah. Next thing we got on an agenda, let's finish this one out. We got one story from Cigar Public. So let's say hi to Cigar Public.
The Real Smoke podcast is fired up by none other than Cigar Public. Dive into the world of cigars like never before at cigarpublic.com. Your one-stop destination for the latest cigar industry news, honest cigar reviews, whiskey articles, and so much more. It's everything you need to elevate your smoking game. Light up your curiosities at cigarpublic.com or follow them on Instagram at cigarpublic. Because life is too short for boring cigars and blend contact.
100% life is too short for boring cigars and bland content. So if you want some good content, go over to Cigar Public and check this out. So the story that we have today is Wooden Indian Tobacco and Perdomo Cigars collaborate on a milestone release. So I know we have some Perdomo lovers on here that are watching. So check this out. Check this one out. Havertown, in a press release in Havertown, Pennsylvania, Wooden Indian Tobacco Shop has partnered with Perdomo Cigars to release a special limited edition cigar honoring Dave Mayer, the 20th anniversary as owner of the iconic Havertown tobacconist. The commemorative cigar, titled Dave's 20th Anniversary, also marks a double celebration as the Wooden Indian enters into its 60th year in business. Holy shit, congratulations for being in business for 60 years. Nick and I have worked closely together since I first took over the shop, said Dave Meyer. To have a cigar crafted for this occasion by someone I've respected from the beginning is deeply meaningful, not just to me, but our entire Wooden Indian community. Dave's 20th anniversary cigars, a 6x54 Bellicoso, a classic Vitola from the Perdomo archives, featuring a special blend of 10-year aged tobaccos. It boasts an elegant Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper with rich Nicaraguan binder and filler. Only 200 boxes will be produced, with each box containing 10 cigars. The retail price is set for $124.90 per cigar. There's a little bit more on here about that one. Go check out Cigar Public at Cigar Public on Instagram or online at cigarpublic.com. They will have more information on that one. But if you are one of those Perdomo lovers, go to Wooden Indian and get that cigar. But go to Cigar Vault first and use our code and go buy other cigars as well. So,
Let's do. All right.
So, are you ready for some Meanwhile in Memphis?
I sure am.
Meanwhile in Memphis, it's happening again. Meanwhile in Memphis, the sky turns wild. Stray gators and pools running free and wild. Some guys wearing mud boots with a suit on trial. Meanwhile in Memphis, let's stay here a while.
Meanwhile, Memphis. All right, so again, we had I know I mentioned this the other night. We had 46 murders in like 2 weeks. So there's not a lot of great news stories. None that made me chuckle. Most people are just getting shot. So I actually went just over the state border in Mississippi for this first news story. But everyone in Memphis is talking about it. I actually heard people talking about it at the Brew Festival last weekend I was at. So a Mississippi state senator introduces a bill called Contraception Begins at Erection.
That's what she said.
This includes fines for masturbation. If
That's
passed,
what she said.
if passed, this would be unlawful for men to masturbate without the intent to fertilize an embryo.
Gotta give him that huck too and spit on that thing. You get me?
The first penalty is $1,000. The second penalty is $5,000. The third penalty and any past that are $10,000 each, and if passed, would be effective July 1st.
Dang it, Bobby.
The senator said,
You know that's going to be a hard penalty to get, right?
I see what you've done there.
I mean, there's going to be so many things on here. They're going to have a hard time finishing this.
The governor said this bill has people up in arms, but he doesn't care. Like, how do you prove that? How do you prove that somebody's whacking off? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, if it was in Memphis, I would say you just go down Beale Street. Look around the corner. You're going to find plenty.
But I have so many questions. I have so many questions.
I don't want to know the answers.
I don't know. All right, so this one comes from the Memphis Flyer.
It does. It comes from it.
Yeah,
you're going to get fined.
I might get fined for saying that if I was in Mississippi. So this one comes from the News of the Weird from the Memphis Flyer. It's good to have a hobby. Authorities in Keene, New Hampshire, arrested Kelly Tedford, 23, on February 21st, 2025, for urinating in a grocery store in a variety of produce at a food company. They discovered her odd hobby goes back at least 4 years. NBC News reported that Tedford tainted products and other items. Produce and other items to the tune of $10,000 at grocery stores and to clean up afterwards. Police then found online videos dating back to 2001 that depicted Tedford in multiple locations relieving herself on produce, surfaces, and other objects throughout grocery stores for a matter of 4 years. She was charged with a felony criminal mischief and released on her own recognizance. She was able to piddle in public from April till her April 7th court date, is what it says right in the news story. So apparently this girl has a fetish of pissing on vegetables. And
Gotta give him that huck too and spit on that thing.
So I'm just wondering if these two stories were related.
They might be, but welcome to 2025. I mean, it wasn't like in Memphis this time, but man, both good stories.
Oh Lord. Well, that's a great way to end the night. So really quickly, Robert said he was doing his hair. Rob jumps in and says 46 murders in 2 weeks. Those are rookie numbers. And Jordan wants to know, what if he comes up short? Guess Audi Jizz is going to be off the market there?
Yes.
All right, guys. Really quickly, want to thank everybody for jumping on here tonight. Like we said at the beginning of it, next week will be our last episode for a little while. We are taking a couple of weeks off. Mick's going out of town. We have been hitting all these episodes so hard for the last, no pun intended. So for the last few months, we both owe our wives some special time.
Yeah.
In other words, we're just going to sit and read books. Just kidding. We owe our wives some special time. We need to go and spend some time with family. So we will do one more episode next week, and we will be off until June 8th. We'll come back for 3 more episodes, and then we're going to take off till July 10th. And those 3 episodes will end season 2 of the Real Smoke podcast. We'll come back July 10th with season 3 with all new guests and all that stuff. And we'll have all new guests lined up, so you can stay tuned to all that stuff. Check out our Patreon. Go sign up with us. If you happen to see the intro into the music tonight, it actually showed that. It actually showed our sponsors. And you're going to see it again in the exit video as we leave tonight. But stay around, check that out, see what you think. Send us some comments and let us know what you think about, what we could do better on the intro and exit shows. And if you've got ideas, post in the comments and let us know what we could do better on here. And do not say we could make things shorter. Again, no pun intended. But if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you let us know. We're at 3 hours and 36 minutes. I still got to edit and put together all the images for this shit. So thank you, everybody, for jumping on here and being a part of this. Absolutely love Pete for jumping on here. He was a fantastic guest. One of my personal top 2 that we have probably done. Maybe even my number 1. But Mick, I will let you say anything that you need to say, and I'll shut up for a second.
No, amazing night. I agree. One of my favorite shows as well. We'll promise to keep it under 4 hours next week, and take time this week, smoke a cigar with someone you love. And Charles, thanks for everything you do, man. I love you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, brother, for another great episode. Thanks to all of you for watching. We will see you guys next week for one more. Everybody have a great night, early morning. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in. The Real Smoke podcast makes us all grin. You light us up, you keep us strong. Cheers to you, we raise the song.
Hey, if you guys were able to jump on here, this is just one of the things that I wanted to hide in here because I knew Mick was going to jump off here, and I know some of you would still be watching. But do me a favor. Mick does a lot for the show. Please go in and leave comments on here tonight. Tell Mick thanks for everything that he does for the show, and go in there and leave messages on there and tell him thanks for everything that he does. He's a huge part of everything that goes on, and this show wouldn't be what it is without him. So leave him a big thanks, and I will see you guys next week. Everybody, peace.
Thank you for tuning in. The Real Smoke podcast makes us all grin. You light us up, you keep us strong. Cheers to you, we raise the song. Conversations deep, the stories fly. Ashes fall, with spirits high. Rolling, the bitters flow. You've kept us burning, don't let it go. Thank you for tuning in. shines bright, 'cause you